It's round 3 of the British Rallycross Championship in association with the Shannon Group, and we move on to our third country. We're at Knockhill today in the beautiful surroundings of Dunfermline in Scotland. 53 drivers have made the journey north to add some valuable points to their tally, maybe even their first points as they make their first appearance in the series this year. One of them is a very familiar name and face though, as the former British champion Ollie O'Donovan makes a comeback. We said right at the beginning of the season you probably miss racing, and here you are back in a car. Just explain your decision to come back.
Well, it was inevitable, wasn't it? I love rallycross, I love motorsport of any type really, and it was getting very, very hard to be a spectator. It's getting harder every week.
Well, you've got the world at your sights, haven't you?
I have, yeah. The whole idea of this weekend here is I've just got a car from Kevin, and is to do a bit of a test and get familiarised and get myself back up to pace and probably have a go at World Championship. If we can get into a B final, I'd be very happy. So
how has practice gone so far? Because you've said you've never really tested or practiced in your life.
No. The car arrived yesterday about 4 o'clock and I managed to drive it from the trailer into the service pits. No, I had no pre-run, but we had a free practice this morning, so the car was pretty good. We have a minor power steering problem. Once the bite of that resolved, I'm sure the car will be good.
I was going to say, how much do you need to modify it so that it's how you want it? Because it'd be different to how Kevin wanted it.
I got to learn how to drive it first before we make any modifications. So the whole idea today is literally drive the car as it is. Car's good. I mean, car would be pretty good from Kevin's driving, so I just got to teach myself.
So you're looking forward to renewing those old rivalries then?
Yeah, maybe not today, but slowly we'll get back in there and we'll definitely have a fight for top 3 today, and hopefully you never know what happens after that.
I mean, it can't have been too long that you were last here racing anyway.
Exactly 2 years to this event. It was the last race I'd done, so it's been 2 years since I sat in the car, but it doesn't matter.
And you're a busy guy because, I mean, you're looking after the RX150s as well. You're all over the place.
Yeah, we are, yeah. I mean, the buggies are still flying. They're still getting my full attention. But it shortens the day.
Well, all the very best today and the rest of the season.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Steve, good to have you back. Just remind people what happened at round 1 at Lytton Hill.
Round 1, we had a couple of problems. We had an engine failure. We had bent all the valves in the car, so we missed a couple of heats and then failed to qualify for the final. So that was a bit of a struggle. And I chose to miss out Holland to sort out a power steering issue, which we've now sorted.
So a bit of a frustrating start, would you say? Yeah,
frustrating, but I've done too much of driving the car without it being right, and now I want it right before I take it out. It's a good car, and it needs justification for me to take it out.
How does it feel today?
It feels very good, yeah.
What do you make of this particular circuit? Is it one of your favourites?
Yeah, it's a great circuit. We've got like a special stage around the back. The loose is a nice twisty piece of a bit like a forest stage, so it suits me quite well from my rallying background. Quite enjoy that. And then the tarmac, very, very fast.
What's it like to have Ollie back next to you in the pits?
Oh, it's good. He's having a few problems at the minute, but hopefully he'll be back on it in a minute. I mean, he'll definitely be on it. There's no doubt about that once he gets used to it, and he'll be a big threat.
So he's going to be one to watch, but you're hoping in your rearview mirror.
I'm hoping in my rearview mirror. Yeah, I don't want anybody in front really, but we'll try. We'll try and get away first. It's always about making the start, and we get to launch this car, so we'll have to see what happens.
All the best today, Steve.
Thank you.
We've got 3 heats before our finals in what promises to be an action-packed day here at Knockhill. We start with the MSA Juniors, and here's your commentator, Mark Werrell.
Thanks, Natalie. Great to be back north of the border and great to be back at Knockhill. This is the first of the heats for the MSA Juniors, and Charlie Bean it is that sits there on pole position. The red lights have already gone out. Charlie Bean is in the blue car with the black livery to it and the white flash. He gets a good start, but already second and third place, Jake Taylor and Drew Bellaby arguing over who wants to turn in towards set corner, and Duffers dip in second place. It does look as though the red car of Jake Taylor has just about done enough though to grab second place away, which means that Drew Bellaby is there in third place, and Jenny Hawkes will complete the top 4 as they head onto the loose section for the first time. Charlie Bean, who was the runner-up in the MSA Juniors back in 2013 and in 2012 as well, is already now just starting to pull out a little bit of a margin between himself and the youngster from Retford in Nottinghamshire, that being the red car there of Jake Taylor. On the loose section, they'll rejoin the tarmac. There goes Jenny Hawkes down towards the tail end of the field. The lead pair just turning their way through the tri-oval loop for the first time and starting to accelerate their way back onto the Stewart Straight. Starts, of course, uphill and then flattens out before heading downhill in towards the braking area for the right-hander at Sayat corner, and then plunging downhill into the sweeps of Duffer's Dip. There goes number 2, our race leader Charlie Bean, and whilst he has Jake Taylor not too far away as yet, Jake Taylor is not quite close enough so as to really apply pressure to our race leader as they head round through Leslie's on the loose and start to head onto the infield section of the circuit once more. Rejoining the circuit at Hislops and then up towards the tri-oval loop. Charlie Bean is on his last lap of the race. Jake Taylor has closed him down over the course of this lap, but isn't going to be close enough as they head onto the Stewart Straight. The checkered flag flies, and it's a win in the first of the MSA Juniors in the heats for Charlie Bean. He will be delighted that he's got his weekend here in Scotland off to the best possible start. A win in the first of the heats for the number 2 car of Charlie Bean. In second position is number 6, which is Jake Taylor. Drew Bellaby comes home and finishes in 3rd place, and Jenny Hawkes completes the top 4. So on to the first of the heats for the Suzuki Swifts, and the Swifts have been unbelievably competitive so far in the 2 rounds that we've seen so far in the 2014 Championship. The red lights go out, and as they head up towards Sayat corner for the first time, it looks as though it's the champion from last year, number 1, that black and day-glow yellow car of Graham Rodmark, that's going to lead. Who's going to turn in second place? Is it going to be Chris Mullen in the green car? Yes, it is, just ahead of the orange car of Rob Maynard, and Tristan Ovenden is actually going to come through as they head round through the right-hander at Leslie's. That's the red car with the yellow flashes to it, and run in what is 3rd position as they head onto the loose for the first time. The champion from 2013 heads the champion from 2012, and then it's the red car in the hands of Tristan Ovenden, who's gone very well so far this season, and he'll be hoping that, having made the trip north of the border, he can keep up the momentum he's got in the 2014 championship. Onto the tri-oval loop for the first time go the lead 4. In the background, by the look of things, that's the number 38 car of Jack Brown, the man from Barnsley, the ex-Formula 2 stock car racer. He has taken the Joker lap on this occasion as the lead pair turn away in towards Sayat corner and Duffer's Dip once more. Still the order remaining the same. Still that Dayglow yellow and black car of Graham Rodmark leading. Number 28, the green car in the hands of Chris Mullen, who is pushing on very hard indeed. And Rob Maynard looking to try and steal 3rd place away from the number 72 car of Tristan Ovenden. The door was closed though. Tristan just about managing to hang on to the position. If anything, that's actually slowed Rob Maynard a bit. He was looking to try and pounce for 3rd. He's now some 4 or 5 swift lengths away as they head back onto the tarmac at Hislops and work their way towards the conclusion in a few moments of another lap. Onto the brakes, in towards the right-hander at the tri-oval loop. Brings them back onto the start-finish straight, the Stewart Straight as it's known. That's another lap chalked in the book for the pair vying for 3rd and 4th. Here are the pair vying for the lead of the race. Graham Rodmark coming under ever-increasing amounts of pressure from the man from Leeds. Number 28, Chris Mullen, has closed up over the course of the last lap or so and is now potentially in a position so as to try and mount a challenge for the lead through the subtle right-hander that brings them back up onto the tarmac once more. And well, Graham Rodmark makes a subtle mistake there. The car bounces into the air, clips the cones, clips the tyres. That will have no doubt cost him a little bit of momentum, and that might be the opportunity that Chris Mullen has been waiting for the lead of the races. This time Graham Rodmark heads onto the Joker lap. Joker lap literally means that they complete the normal racing circuit here at Knockhill, round through the Taylor's hairpin, then through the chicane and back up onto the start-finish straight. And also Rob Maynard from 4th position has also taken the Joker lap this time through. And we are now on our last lap of the race with this man, Chris Mullen, leading, but he has yet to take the Joker lap, as does the car in 2nd place, that car there, which is Tristan Ovenden. So both of them on their last lap, both of them will be destined for the Joker lap this time through. And there in 3rd position is Graham Rodmark, the leading car that has taken the Joker lap. 2 ahead though, where are they going to come out? Have they done enough so as to hang on to the lead of the race in 2nd position? As just flashing through in front of our screen went Chris Mullen onto his Joker lap. There goes Tristan Ovenden. And where is Chris Mullen going to come out? Is he going to come out in the lead of the race? Is he going to come out in 2nd place? Where is Graham Rodmark? Graham Rodmark doesn't look as though he's close enough coming round through the tri-oval loop, so it's Chris Mullen that takes the checkered flag in the first of our Suzuki Swift Heats. So the results go the way of Chris Mullen taking the win. Graham Rodmark was there in second place. Tristan Ovenden was third. Rob Maynard was there in fourth place ahead of Jack Brown and Mark Dodsworth. So the RX buggies are about to head out onto the circuit. They've been released from the assembly area and about to join the track for their first heat. And, well, throughout the course of this season, the champion from the last 2 years, number 1 Mark Scott, has been vying for heat wins, race wins, finals wins. It really doesn't matter with James Grint. Let's see whether the two of them here today at Knockhill are going to be equally as competitive. The green flag is waved and the lights are about to head out, and as they head out, a good start having been made. There's contact further down through the field. That looks as though it's Mark Scott and Richard Moore that have got together, and well, they're still together as well. The two buggies would appear to be fairly inseparable at this stage of the race, and it looks as though they're both still entangled together as they head up towards Sayat Corner. That does not bode well, does it? Two cars locked together. Quite a harmless incident, but the two of them just not able to separate themselves. As the race continues on, the rest of the field threading their way through the loose section and are about to head back onto the tarmac at Hislop. Somebody making a mistake further back. I think that might have been Adam Sargent possibly there. And red flags are coming out, not unsurprising as a result of those two cars locked together. So the red flags are out. The drivers will be slowing themselves down as Adam Sargent makes a mistake under red flags. Yeah, that might not go down well with the clerk of the course. Adam Sargent having made a mistake. There are the two buggies that have brought about the problem. That being Mark Scott, number 1, who's out of his car. Richard Moore, number 11, still sits behind his. And, well, that will be it for the moment for the RX150 buggies. The marshals have got some work to do. Robust are the buggies. Fairly light, thankfully. You can see just the power of a couple of our superb Knockhill marshals able to extract the two cars together. The buggy's red flagged, and we will get that heat back underway in a few moments. So onto the heat for the first of the BMW Minis. Just 4 cars go in this one. The red car of Kiefer Hudson sitting on the inside of the front row with David Bell in the middle and Chris Hudson on the outside. Kiefer Hudson, the red car, lights up the front wheels as he tries to get traction on the run down in towards Sayat Corner, but it does look as though it's going to be David Bell and Chris Hudson that are vying for the lead as they turn in towards Sayat Corner down through Duffer's Dip. And Chris Hudson has been able to wrestle the lead of the race away in the early stages of this one. The front 3 just getting away a little bit from the car that's there in 4th position, which is number 87, the silver car with the orange bumpers, in the hands of Rebecca Ryder. So the cars bouncing their way over the loose surface, around through the right-hander that brings them back up towards Hislops, and you can see just how much the tail end of these lighter minis bounce into the air on the ruts that are beginning to appear on the surface that has been beautifully prepared by the circuit staff. Race leader heads onto the Joker lap, and sideways David Bell loses what is now the lead of the race to the red car of Kiefer Hudson. So over the start-finish sign now go, down the Stewart Straight. Wipers on both of the lead cars, so a few spots of rain I suspect just beginning to fall. That will of course help keep the dust down on the loose surface, but it may also create a bit of mud, which in turn will cause visibility issues. You can see the grey clouds above. I think you can see the odd spot of rain on the camera lens as well, as the lead two get very close together indeed. Kiefer Hudson continuing to lead the race. His car leaps into the air as well through the loose section. David Bell trying to stay with him there, number 2 in second place. The white Mini again just bouncing across the loose surface as they rejoin the tarmac, and it looks as though despite having taken the Joker lap, Chris Hudson, number 45, is still there in 3rd place. This time David Bell heads onto the Joker lap, which means that Kiefer Hudson is out front and on his own now as he heads onto the final lap of the race. He will have to take the Joker lap on this lap, but has no pressures from behind anymore. He can concentrate on the road ahead as he turns his way in towards Sayat Corner, down through Duffer's Dip, and then onto the brakes in towards the right-hander at Leslie's that brings him onto the loose section on the infield here at Knockhill. There is Chris Hudson, Just heading through shop now as he works his way onto the final lap of the race. And here is our race leader, Kiefer Hudson. He's got the joker lap that he needs to take over the course of this time, and the car leaps its way into the air, hits a very large rock indeed as well that was brought out of the underlying mud, and it looks as though that's retirement for Kiefer Hudson. Something clearly gone wrong. Chris Hudson there in second place, and also problems for David Bell in third position. He leaps through the air. The boot has come loose as well. And it does look as though, with just 4 cars in the field, Chris Hudson is going to come through and take a win. Locks the brakes up. He is so pleased indeed with that first victory of the weekend for him here at Knockhill. David Bell there in second place. And let's just have a look at Kiefer Hudson. You can see the tail end of the car leaps into the air. An enormous rock is brought out from underneath the surface, and clearly problems for him. We also can see David Bell, exactly the same rut. His car leaps into the air, and then something breaks on the boot. The boot comes adrift. He still continues though to finish in second place. The win goes the way of Chris Hudson. David Bell is there in second place. Rebecca Ryder is third, and of course Kiefer Hudson, a non-finisher. So on to the first of the heats for the hot hatches. 4 cars on the grid for this one, and Craig Lomax, who we ride on board with, has been the man to watch all season so far. Starting on the second row of the grid, he's got a good start and is already directly behind the 2012 champion, the black Peugeot, ahead of us, that being Thomas Velgot's. Up towards the first corner, Thomas Velgot's briefly locking the brakes in his efforts to maintain the lead of the race, which he has managed to do. Craig Lomax there in second place, and Thomas Martiniak through into third position, which means the black car with the pink bumpers of David Ellis concludes the top 4 as they are onto the loose section of the circuit, and as they start to then turn their way through the right-hand element. This is where the bumps caught out the minis. Let's see how the hot hatches ride the undulations very neatly over the bumps there, as our race leader Thomas Velgot's heads onto the brakes and turns his way through the tri-oval loop. Craig Lomax instantly on lap 1 heads for the joker lap. It also looks as though car number 17 David Ellis did as well, so they've sort of paired off in that respect. So ride on board with Craig Lomax through the left and right chicane, that concludes the joker lap and then rejoins the Stewart Straight. See just how much gradient there is here at Knockhill. A fabulous circuit as our race leader runs wide, heading round through Leslie's. Again, you can see those spots of rain on the camera lens, the grey clouds ahead, and well, Thomas Velgot's got away with that rather. Driver who finished third in the championship last year, so won it back in 2012, is beginning to come under pressure from that red and white car of Thomas Martiniak as they head down towards the area of the circuit. They rejoin the tarmac, and the race leader makes a mistake. Thomas Velgot's loses the tail end of the car. It thumps into the barriers with frontal damage to it. Right on board with Craig Lomax there, you can see the errant car of erstwhile race leader Thomas Velgot, and with Thomas Martiniak having gone for the joker lap, the plumber from Pontefract is about to retake the lead of the race. Quick look, you can see the back end of the car just hits the dusty section as they came off the loose onto the tarmac, and well, the frontal impact with the barriers for Thomas Velgot will spell retirement for him. What a shame for the former champ. Race leader on his final lap. He's about to head past the errant car of erstwhile race leader Thomas Velgot. We'll see it on the right hand side of the circuit. There it is. But our race leader Craig Lomax is about to head onto the brakes, turn his way onto the tri-oval loop for the final time. Thomas Martiniak ever closer to him, but he's not got enough time left so as to take the lead of the race. It is going to be another win for Craig Lomax, who finished runner-up in the championship last year and is looking very strong in the early stages of the 2014 championship. There is a very sorry sight indeed. Thomas Velgot with damage to the front end of this car. I'm sure they'll get it repaired. It was a win though for Craig Lomax. Second was Thomas Martiniak, and third was David Ellis. So on to Heat 1A for the Supernationals, and the lights go out already and it looks like it's a good start from the outside of the front row of the grid for the Vauxhall Corsa in the hands of Alan Tapscott. Also the mid-engined MR2 of Malcolm Boyd vying for second place as they turn their way in towards set corner for the first time. A little bit of contact between Malcolm Boyd and the red Peugeot of Martin Hawks causes a spin for Malcolm Boyd. It looks as though Slavomir Woollett has also gone off at the wheel of his Ford Fiesta. Both cars will continue, but the circuit down at Duffer's Dip is strewn with tyres, strewn with bits of bodywork, and that may cause issues when they come round next time round. Alan Tapscott leads the race in the meantime. There is Jack Thorne's Citroen C2 in second position, and Martin Hawks, despite all of the first corner drama, is there in third place at the wheel of the red Peugeot. They head back onto the tarmac. Alan Tapscott leads the race. Jack Thorne goes for the Joker lap, which will bring him right the way down towards the right-hand hairpin at Taylor's, and then up towards the left and right flick at the chicane, which he is about to work his way through now, on towards the conclusion of the first lap for him. And here is Alan Tapscott on his second lap, in towards Duffer's Dip, working his way round through the tyres. You can see strewn all over the circuit, but red flags coming out as a result of Martin Hawks, who has had further action on that lap. It looks as though the Toyota MR2 of Malcolm Boyd has also become involved as well. The two of those off and into retirement, with, thankfully, Martin Hawks out of the car, inspecting the damage on the front corner. All not well in Heat 1A, and all not well in Heat 1B either, because inverting his car, David Ewan puts the Ford Fiesta on its roof, and whilst he will be absolutely fine, the car will need some work. Natalie caught up with the driver.
Well, David, this round appears to have been incident-packed. You were part of one of them. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was stuck behind Gary Dixon for a couple of laps, and I nearly did him going down the hill at the far end of the circuit, and I just thought I'd have chance getting him on the outside coming up the hill. Ambition exceeded talent. I got a wheel on the grass, I tried to collect it, hit a tyre, and over it went.
What kind of goes through your mind when that happens?
Firstly, I hope it doesn't hurt, and secondly, I hope it doesn't cost too much.
But you're all right, thank God.
I'm fine, yeah. Hopefully we'll get the car fixed and we'll be out again later on this year.
I was going to say, you're fine, but the car might not be.
Yeah, I think we've had a look, and I think it is fixable. It looks worse than it is, so a little bit of straightening, and the roll cage took a little bit of a beating, so there's a bit of work to do on the roll cage, but other than that, it should be fairly straightforward to fix.
So second attempt then at Heat 1B for the Supernationals. Michael Boak's diesel-powered Audi TT should have the torque off the line, you would argue. As the lights go out, it is a good start from Michael Boak. Vincent Bristow's black BMW there in second place, but watch out for the Vauxhall Astra of Gary Dixon, the former rally driver. Comes through from the outside of the front row of the grid, up to second by the time they head in towards Duffer's Dip. So it's the Audi that leads, the Vauxhall is second, the BMW is third, and the white Peugeot in the hands of Guy Corner turns round through Leslie's corner in fourth place. And whilst Michael Boak is starting to pull away in the lead of the race, the battle is most certainly on for second and third position. Gary Dixon under a raft of pressure from the BMW that sits directly behind him. It doesn't look as though, as yet, Bristow has been able to squeeze his way through. Vincent Bristow this time jinks out from behind Gary Dixon's Vauxhall Astra. So Vincent Bristow heads on to the Joker lap as the Vauxhall Astra continues round the tri-oval loop. He's not the only one to head on to the Joker lap though, because the Peugeot, number 11, the white car in the hands of Guy Corner, also destined for the Joker lap this time through. So back onto the Stewart Straight goes those cars that have taken the Joker lap, as they then start to descend back down towards the braking area for the right-hander at set corner, and then the circuit plunges away down towards Duffer's Dip before they head off the tarmac onto the loose. Vincent Bristow has been very entertaining throughout the course of this year. The rear-wheel drive BMW takes a little bit of taming, but Vincent is a very good driver indeed, and is wrestling the car around the circuit, throwing it into the corners, catching the tail end with some opposite lock, and the body language will tell you that he is trying to catch up, as this man, Michael Boak, still continues to lead the race. Over the start-finish line goes the diesel-powered Audi, a very quick car. He's had problems though throughout the course of this year. Gary Dixon's Vauxhall Astra falling away a shade now in second position. The garage proprietor from Lincoln takes his way through the right-hander, and onto the loose section of it. Came into Rallycross having been in rallying for a good number of years, came into it using hot hatch and stock hatch a few years ago. As our race leader is now on his last lap of the race, Vincent Bristow is there in second position. Gary Dixon has dropped to third place, and as they turn away through the tri-oval lap, Vincent Bristow really pushing on at the wheel of the BMW, accelerates his way towards the start-finish line and takes the checkered flag. Gary Dixon is there in third position, but the win goes the way of Michael Boak. He will be delighted with that. Michael Boak takes the win. Vincent Bristow is there in second place, and Gary Dixon concludes the top three. So having had the rerun of Heat 1B, we're about to get the rerun of Heat 1A underway, because they were both red flagged. The green flag waves at the tail end of the field. The red lights are about to come on. Alan Tapscott's got a good start from the outside of the front row of the grid last time round. He's not quite as quick away initially, but now the Vauxhall Corsa is starting to build the momentum, and as they head in towards Set Corner and Duffers Dip, it's Alan Tapscott that leads. It's Jack Thorne's Citroen C2 that's there in second place. Then it's the MR2 of Malcolm Boyd ahead of the MGZR of Stephen Ratu, and there is the second of the C2s we've got in the field. The white and silver car is that of Phil Chicken, with Slavomir Woollok, who was involved in that skirmish and incident in Heat 1, circulating very slowly at the wheel of the Ford Fiesta towards the tail end of the field. I don't think all is well with the car. So the main field of cars thread their way back onto the tarmac at Hislop's once more. And as they're about to conclude the first lap of the race, this time it is Jack Thorne who briefly foregoes second position so as to take the Joker lap and turn his way round through Taylor's. He's joined on the Joker element of the circuit by both Malcolm Boyd and the white MGZR of Stephen Ratu. So they will, for the moment, drop themselves down through the order, but they have now taken the Joker lap and can concentrate fully on the remaining efforts in the race. Retirement though for Slavomir Woollok. All was not well with the Ford Fiesta. Problems in the first of the heats, problems in this one. No such issues though for Alan Tapscott, who on this lap has to take the Joker lap. Has he done enough though? Because Jack Thorne is there in second place, and Tapscott has got to take the extra loop this time through. Has he done enough so as to hang on to the lead of the race? Well, Jack Thorne, we can see him in the distance as they pass the errant car of Slavomir Woollok. Has he done enough? I don't think Alan Tapscott has done enough. He pushed on as hard as he could, but Jack Thorne looked reasonably close to him as they rejoined the tarmac, and as Tapscott turns his way through the chicane, accelerates his way towards the checkered flag. Is he going to come out ahead? No, he's not. Jack Thorne has gone through and has taken the win. It must have been a great few laps charging back through after the Joker lap for Jack Thorne. He comes through at the wheel of the Citroen C2 and claims a win. In second position is Alan Tapscott, and completing the top three will be the Toyota MR2, number 69, in the hands of Malcolm Boyd.
So your winner is Jack Thorne.
So the first heat for the supercars are about to be unleashed at Knockhill, and we ride on board with Simon Horton's Subaru Impreza, who doesn't get off the line very well at all. Everybody else rockets away. Simon Horton tumbles down to the very tail end of the field, and Ollie O'Donovan, the 2007 champion, back to Rallycross this weekend for the first time in 2 years, leads the first of the Supercar Heats from Julian Godfrey in second place at the wheel of that white and blue Ford Fiesta, and then Steve Hill's Mitsubishi. After the poor start, Simon Horton's Subaru Impreza now starting to gain a bit of momentum and beginning to reel in the quartet that got the much better start as they head off the loose, and very shortly will rejoin the tarmac, heading towards the conclusion of the first lap of the race. Ollie O'Donovan leads, then the white and blue Ford Fiesta of Julian Godfrey, who goes for the Joker lap on the first lap. So O'Donovan continues around the tri-oval. Julian Godfrey takes the Joker lap and is going to be joined, by the look of things, by both Steve Harris's red Ford Focus and the Subaru Impreza of Simon Horton, which means this man now, Steve Hill, is in second place. Good to see him back in the championship. As we heard from him earlier on, he didn't manage to compete at Valkenswaard. He was out there but not competing, and is back to the championship having missed the previous round. And so far the Mitsubishi going very well indeed, riding the bumps beautifully around through the loose section, about to rejoin the tarmac. And as he pushes on in second place, this man Ollie O'Donovan still continues to lead the race. So Ollie out of the tri-oval loop over the start finish line, rockets his way towards a conclusion of another lap. Ollie O'Donovan has enough of an advantage so as not to overly need to look in his mirrors. Steve Hill sits there in second place. Both of these cars still as yet to take the Joker lap. Ollie pushing on as hard as he possibly can in the lead of the race, because he'll know that Julian Godfrey, come the tail end of this race, is not going to be that far away. Julian Godfrey turns his way through Duffer's Dip up towards Leslie's, and well, that car has got a puncture by the look of things. Yet the left rear tyre has got a puncture. That is going to cost Julian Godfrey dear, I fear, here, because he is falling into the clutches of the man from Hockley in Essex, Steve Harris. Steve, hugely experienced rallycross driver, started rallycrossing back in the mid-80s, and he is surely going to be able to gobble up Julian Godfrey, the 3 times champion, before too much longer. Steve Hill takes the Joker lap. Where's Julian Godfrey? Well, there he is. You can see all the tail end of that car. It's very uncomfortable as all of that weight leans on the non-inflated tyre. Steve Harris has been able to wiggle his way through. They are now on the last lap of the race, and Julian Godfrey, the current championship leader, the 3 times champion, the reigning champion, is down into 4th place and is under pressure from Simon Horton's Subaru Impreza as they head through Leslie's, and yet he's been able to squeeze his way through as well. Julian Godfrey will at least continue round to try and stack up some points. But it is Ollie O'Donovan that leads. He has already taken the Joker lap. He is heading towards a victory in the first of the heats. Not bad for a man who's back behind the wheel of a car for the first time in 2 years, is it? Ollie O'Donovan shows his class. He comes through and takes the win. Steve Hill comes through in second place. The engineer from Tame. It's going to be Steve Harris who comes through in 3rd place. And well, for Julian Godfrey, he is limping the Fiesta around. What could have been in the first of the heat? Thankfully, as far as he's concerned, it's the first of 3. Still plenty of racing to come at Knockhill. Ollie O'Donovan takes the win. Steve Hill is second ahead of Steve Harris. Simon Horton was 4th, and Julian Godfrey was the last of our finishers. So, being released from the Parc Ferme area out onto the circuit for the first time are the cars for Retro Rallycross. Swelled in numbers this weekend. Good to see that the Volkswagen Beetle of James Harold is an addition to the entry list from those that we've seen in previous rounds. There he goes out onto the circuit, and also we have got the Scotsman Dave Black at the wheel of his Vauxhall Astra. Most of the wins, though, have gone the way of the green and white Mini of Lance Foster, or the Ford Escort of Ray Morgan, who sits at the tail end of the field. The green flag is being waved. The lights are about to go out. We're about to get Retro Rallycross underway here at Knockhill, with Ray Morgan's Ford Escort going nowhere off the line. Has to fire the car back into life. A great start, though, by Lance Foster from the front row of the grid. The green and white Mini is going to lead, surely, as they head up towards the braking area for Duffer's Dip for the first time. And it is going to be the Volkswagen Beetle in the hands of James Harold that comes through in second place, with Dave Black's Vauxhall Astra there in 3rd place. Then Ian Biaggi's Mini completing the top 4, the white car with the checkered roof. New livery for this weekend, those yellow and blue stripes down the side and the checkered roof of Ian Biaggi's car. And then the slow starting, but now starting to gain momentum, Ford Escort, the BDA engine car in the hands of Ray Morgan. That car that is just heading through shot now, number 14. Watch out for him. He should make progress, Ray Morgan. Making progress at the front of the field, continuing to lead is the car that was driven by Ian Sandwith with great effect back in the 80s and 90s, now in the hands of Lance Foster, with that Volkswagen Beetle of James Harold getting a little bit sideways coming into the tri-oval loop. Gathered it all up, though, didn't lose a great deal of momentum. He sits there in second place with the Vauxhall Astra in 3rd, and now Ray Morgan's Ford Escort is through and into 4th position. What can he do about setting about that car, the Vauxhall Astra, that sits there in 3rd place in the hands of Dave Black? So through Leslie's onto the loose section of the circuit once more. Mini leads, Volkswagen there in 2nd place, the Vauxhall in 3rd, the Ford Escort there in 4th place. Riding the bumps is Ray Morgan. Then there goes the car of Ian Biaggi completing the top 5. We've still got Paul Smith's Volkswagen Polo circulating towards the rear. The Volkswagen Beetle in the hands of James Harold is falling away all of the time for the race leader, and falling away back towards the tail end of the field is the spinning Ford Escort of Ray Morgan, caught out on the brakes as he tried to turn in towards the tri-oval. The car eventually fires its way into life as the flame-spitting Volkswagen Beetle turns its way onto its last lap of the race, still trying to hunt down the Mini that continues to lead. So Lance Foster still out front and leading, not really under a great deal of pressure on this, the final lap of the race. A mistake would see James Harold pounce, but the Beetle is not quite close enough to catch under its own power, and Lance Foster is a very good driver indeed. We've not seen him make really any mistakes over the course of this season. Onto the brakes, in towards the tri-oval loop for the final time. He's going to accelerate his way towards a victory surely. There comes James Harold, who looks destined for second position. A very quick Volkswagen Beetle. Good to see him out this weekend. He has been a pleasure to watch and very entertaining in the first of the heats. But the win goes the way of Lance Foster. He claims the win. In second place is James Harold, with Dave Black finishing in third place ahead of Ray Morgan, who was fourth, and Paul Smith was there in fifth position. So a rerun of the first heat for the RX150 buggies following the red flag that we saw earlier on, and it looks as though it's a good start from the black car of James Grint from the outside of the front row of the grid. Everybody wanting to be second, and Mark Scott making a challenge up the inside for the lead of the race. Onto the brakes, they turn their way in towards Stuffer's Dip. James Grint makes a mistake, the tail end of the car at 45 degrees to the circuit, but somehow James Grint, well, he got away with that rather, didn't he? Hung on to the car, hung on to the lead of the race, and is now under pressure from the car of Mark Scott, the champion from last year, the champion from the year before, sitting there in second position as they head round towards the tarmac area of the circuit once more. And contact there. It looks as though one car inverted, a second car's got involved as well. John McGovern and Don McLeod, by the look of things, are the two cars that unfortunately have ended up on their sides. Very robust are the buggies, but a hugely unfortunate incident towards the tail end of the field has brought about another red flag. Let's just have a quick look. James Grint ran wide, Mark Scott took to the grass, and in the background you can see the two buggies. One was already having an incident of its own, and the other one got rather caught up in it. So red flags are out, and what a shame that is that the buggies that are usually well behaved have had not the best of starts to the weekend. We ride on board with Adam Sargent. Let's have a look at the incident ahead. You can see Adam on the brakes, spinning the car in avoidance, but what a shame that is.
Mark, this is your local track, isn't it?
Yeah, for once I've only got a couple of hours to drive to get to the racing, but yeah, don't very often come to Knockhill and get sunshine, but thankfully we've got it this weekend.
Have you ever known it to be action and incident packed here though?
No, I mean, unfortunately there's been a lot of heavy crashes with the buggies. Two have rolled, two drivers out, and thankfully they're okay, which is a testament to the buggy. But yeah, it's been a bit of an action-packed day as far as accidents go.
A lot of damage to the buggies, and they don't easily turn over these things, do they?
No, they don't. Generally when you're going over, you're going over pretty hard. So yeah, as I say, it's a testament to the buggy, and thankfully both drivers are okay.
Were you aware of what was going on while you were out there?
No, I mean, me and James were a little bit in front. It was only the first lap, so it was all going on behind us, but yeah, we've seen the video footage, and yeah, it's pretty serious.
Still exciting to watch these things though.
Yeah, no, they're great fun. Yeah, enjoying it.
And you're enjoying the championship so far, you must be.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't really get much better, so yeah, great.
Looking forward to the rest of the day then?
Yeah, hopefully stick it on pole for the final and bring home the trophy.
Welcome back to Knockhill. The second heat for the Suzuki Swift is about to get itself underway here, and it looks as though from the outside of the front row of the grid, the right hand side of our screen, that red car with the yellow flashes, Tristan Ovenden has got a good start that by the look of things is now being matched by Jack Brown, the blue car, up towards the braking area for Duffer's Dip for the first time they come. Jack Brown grasps the lead of the race. The car loses adhesion though. He spins in front of the pack. Everybody avoids contact, and well, amazingly, Jack Brown is not last, largely as a result of Mark Dodsworth, number 66 there, having to get himself onto the brakes fairly hastily to avoid contact. Tristan Ovenden leads the race. The green car is Chris Mullen. He's there in second place, and there goes our champion from last year, the black car with the yellow Dayglow flashes on it. Graham Rodmark sits there in third place with the orange car of Rob Maynard completing the top four. Onto the Joker lap instantly goes Graham Rodmark. Looks as though the orange car of Rob Maynard is also following him on that extra loop up towards the braking area for Taylor's hairpin. And also it looks as though Jack Brown has also dived for the Joker lap this time, as has Mark Dodsworth towards the tail end of the field, so it's largely only the front two that have not taken the Joker lap. And that means that these two now are not just vying for the lead of the race, they are also having to try and push on as hard as they can, because they know that they've got that extra loop to do. They know that whilst there's nothing in their mirrors, the rest of the field will have done that Joker lap first time through. Well, Chris Mullen won the first heat of the day. He is pushing Tristan Ovenden hard here in the second heat of the day. And this time, Chris Mullen opts for the Joker lap. So Tristan Ovenden is now the sole car in the field that has not taken the Joker lap. A spin for Mark Dodsworth. That looks as though it's coming out of Duffer's Dip. He will continue in the race. He was circulating towards the tail end anyway, so it won't overly compromise his position. And with Chris Mullen having taken the Joker lap, he has come out ahead of Graham Rodmark's car there, and that could be important for the race. We're on our last lap of the race. Tristan Ovenden is leading. He has got to take the Joker lap this time through. Can he manage to come out ahead of both of these cars here? The green one of Chris Mullen, the black and day-glow one of Graham Rodmark. Here comes Tristan Ovenden round through the Joker lap. Where is he going to come out? Is it going to be first? Is it going to be second? It could possibly be third place. And as he charges his way towards the line, he's not going to beat Chris Mullen towards the checkered flag. It's going to be a second win out of 2 for Chris Mullen, despite the very, very best efforts of Tristan Ovenden. It wasn't to be on that occasion. So Chris Mullen does the double here in the first 2 heats in the Swift Sports at Knockhill. Tristan Ovenden is second, and it's Graham Rodmark that completes the top 3 ahead of Jack Brown, who's there in 4th place. Rob Maynard was 5th, and Mark Dodsworth completes the top 6.
Anybody on the track did the fastest final lap of anybody on the track. Graham Rodmark was looking good.
So the Minis are about to take to the circuit for their second heat, and whilst heat 1 was secured by the car of Chris Hudson, the all-white car, let's see how he fares in this heat, because David Bell and that car, the red car of Kiefer Hudson, all looked very quick in Heat 1. Kiefer, of course, having had a retirement. So the second heat about to get itself underway, and when the lights go out, we'll see how they get on. The silver car of Rebecca Ryder sitting there on pole position, and it looks as though already looking to try and mount a challenge for the lead of the race is the all-white car number 45 in the hands of Chris Hudson. It looks as though David Bell is going to slot himself through into second place, the white car with the blue roof, and Kiefer Hudson is already through and up into third position, 3 as 1, with Rebecca Ryder that little bit further adrift in 4th place. Work their way out of Leslie's and onto the loose section of the circuit, and as they do so, it's the Heat 1 winner Chris Hudson that bounces across the surface to continually lead this race. And is that a problem again for Kiefer Hudson? It would appear it is. Yeah, retirement in Heat 1, and Kiefer Hudson has got issues in this heat as well. Such a shame, because the car has looked very quick when it's gone. Unfortunately, it's not completed the distance in either Heat 1 or Heat 2. David Bell leads the race. Chris Hudson has headed onto the Joker lap this time through. There he comes, through the left and right flick at the chicanes. So it is this man, David Bell, that leads the race at this stage. Still needs to take the Joker lap at some point. This is the retired car of Kiefer Hudson. 2 DNFs out of the 2 heats so far is not the way he would have wished to have started his weekend. But for David Bell, he is pushing on, and on this lap he is going to take the Joker lap. So continuing down the main circuit up towards the right-hand hairpin at Taylor's before accelerating his way up towards that temporary chicane through the left and the right, really pushing on, using all of the curbs and a little bit more, and he's come out, it's worked. He's come out side by side with Chris Hudson. They are absolutely together as they head on to the last lap of the race. And can David Bell get his nose ahead here onto the brakes up towards Duffer's Dip? And it does look as though David Bell has just about done enough at this stage, pushing on. You can see how hard he's trying. Both cars locking their wheels on the brakes as they come down through Duffer's Dip and head in towards a right-hander at Leslie's, which they've done now. Then past the yellow flags, which are as a result of Kiefer Hudson's retired car. And, well, Chris Hudson bouncing over the loose surface here. The nose of the car almost digging itself into the ground, but it looks as though David Bell has wrung the neck of the Mini enough here so as to try and hang on to the lead of the race, and he's still going to have to fight for the Heat win because Chris Hudson is not letting up with the pressure that's being applied to our race leader, but they come out of the tri-oval loop, judge their way towards the checkered flag, and it is going to be a win, but only just in Heat 2 for David Bell. Rebecca Ryder may well be not quite up to the pace of some of the other runners in the BMW Minis, but she will be delighted indeed that she will finish inside the top 3 in this heat. She works her way past the retired car of Kiefer Hudson and will now head onto the brakes and turn away in towards the tri-oval loop for the final time. She will see the checkered flag. Well, a third in the first heat, a third in the second heat, and will not the best of weekends for Kiefer Hudson. The win goes the way of David Bell. Chris Hudson is second, Rebecca Ryder is third, and it's another non-finish for Kiefer Hudson. So the second heat for Hot Hatch about to get themselves underway here. The 5-second board is already raised. The lights flash on and off very quickly. It's a good start from the black car of Thomas Velgotz from the outside of the front row of the grid, but it looks as though it's a better start from pole position for number 2, the blue car with the red flashes in the hands of Craig Lomax, who will turn his way in towards Duffer's Dip in the lead of the race, with Thomas Martiniak sitting there in second place. Thomas Velgotz is third, and David Ellis completing the top 4 with Stephen Gaunt, that car there, number 49. We didn't see much of at all in the first heat. He at least has managed to take the start in Heat 2. We ride on board with the race leader, bouncing his way through the loose section of the circuit, down towards the tail end of the field, number 49, Stephen Gaunt, fighting away with the black car with the pink bumpers in the hands of David Ellis. Off the loose, onto the tarmac section once more. Thomas Martiniak dives for the Joker lap, early doors. So onto the Joker lap goes Thomas Martiniak. Thomas Velgotz follows him through, and Stephen Gaunt as well. So 3 of the 5 have opted for the Joker lap on this, the very first lap of the second heat, which means that Craig Lomax and Dave Ellis therefore will be first and second places respectively, as the 3 that have taken the Joker lap head down the Stewart Straight up towards the start of lap 2. In towards Leslie's they go. There goes Thomas Martiniak, there goes Thomas Velgotz, and a spin by the look of things in the background for Stephen Gaunt. So he's spun the car, he's already in reverse and has got the Saxo pointing in the right direction. He will continue as this all-black Peugeot of Thomas Velgotz bounces its way across the loose section of the circuit. Still pushing on. Of course, retired in Heat 1 with that incident. Great to see the car repaired for Heat 2. This is Craig Lomax, the race leader. He's on his Joker lap, as is David Ellis. So everybody has now taken the Joker lap. And where is David Ellis going to feed his way back out? He is going to come out just behind Thomas Velgotz. Onto the final lap of the race they go. Craig Lomax is leading the race, and Thomas Martiniak is putting him under an intense amount of pressure as they head through Duffer's Dip. Onto the brakes, through the right-hander at Leslie's, that then brings them up towards the sweeping left-hander on the infield. Craig Lomax still continuing to lead the race despite the pressure that's being applied by the car behind Thomas Martiniak, who finished second in Heat 1. In Heat 2, he is going rather well, to say the least, and really pushing the man from Pontefract up towards the braking area for the tri-oval. And, well, Craig Lomax had to gather up a brief moment there, turning his way in towards the tri-oval. They chase their way towards the checkered flag. Over the start-finish line they go. Thomas Martiniak is not quite going to be able to do it. The win will go the way of Craig Lomax as Thomas Velgotz comes through and takes the flag as well, chased all of the way to the start-finish line by David Ellis. Craig Lomax ultimately claims the win, though. Thomas Velgotz will be promoted up to second and David Ellis promoted up to third, because Thomas Martiniak was given a 10-second penalty and will finish in fourth, ahead of Stephen Gaunt, who's fifth. So it's the Supernationals that head to the circuit now for the start of the second heat, and sitting there in the middle of the front row, one to watch out for, not had the best weekends so far, Slavomir Volok will look to try and improve. Phil Chicken is the car that sits on pole position, the white and silver Citroen. As the lights go out, Phil Chicken gets a good start, but the best of starts right through the middle of them all is Jack Thorne and Malcolm Boyd at the wheel of the MR2, that mid-engined car. The weight over the driving axle really has allowed the MR2 to open up not just the lead, but a lead and a handy buffer as well, as they head through Duffer's Dip and onto the loose for the first time. There is the white and orange car of current championship leader in the Supernationals, that being Stuart Emery. watch out for him. The Peugeot has gone very well so far this season. He sits there in 4th in the race at the moment as they head over the loose section and start to accelerate their way towards the conclusion of the first lap of the race. But it is the MR2 in the hands of Malcolm Boyd, number 69, that leads the race. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th, which is Slavomir Woollett fighting away with Stuart Emery as Slavomir Woollett takes the joker lap, Stuart Emery takes the joker lap, and Jack Thorne from 2nd position takes the joker lap, makes the chicane a little bit easier to negotiate as well for those behind, because he bumped into the recticel on the way in, bumped into the tyres on the way out, and that has meant that it wasn't quite as tight as it was a few moments ago. Jack Thorne able to continue despite bouncing off the chicane. Stuart Emery at the wheel of the Peugeot going superbly well. Project manager from Faversham, who finished runner-up in the Super Nationals last year. He's done a good chunk of the winning in the Super Nationals so far this year. At this stage, he's having to give second best to that Citroën C2 of Jack Thorne as they work their way up towards Hislops once more. And then on towards the tarmac, and both of the cars head round through the tri-oval loop, but Jack Thorne makes a bit of a hash of that, all through the grass, all through the mud, and well, that Citroën C2 looks as though it's going nowhere. Bogged itself down in the mud and the grass, as leading the race is still Malcolm Boyd's Toyota MR2. He's out front, he is leading, but has got still some work to do. There goes Phil Chicken at the wheel of the sole remaining Citroën C2 that we've got in the field. Malcolm Boyd is on his joker lap. Where is he going to come out relative to Stuart Emery? Is he going to be able to come through and take a victory here in his second heat of the day? The Toyota accelerates its way out of the chicane, but Stuart Emery has already taken the checkered flag. Stuart Emery doing what he's done so many times this season. He will come through and take the win in the heat. It is going to be another retirement. What a wicked weekend Slavomir Woollett has had. Another retirement for the very recalcitrant Ford Fiesta, and also problems for Jack Thorne. But no such issues. Stuart Emery comes through and takes a very solid race victory. The Toyota MR2 of Malcolm Boyd is there in second.
Phil, round 3 we're at so far, and it's so far so good.
So far so good, huh? It's a bit of a learning curve, but I'm getting there, I think.
How much of a learning curve?
Unbelievable. It's like nothing I've ever driven before. You know, I've got to rev it. That's what the lads are telling us. I've got to rev it harder and harder and harder. I'm not revving hard enough, so just got to get stuck in.
And with a driver with the experience you have, finding it quite, a test.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's different. It's massive fun, massive amounts of fun. But just got to learn to drive it and have a bit of faith in me and a bit of faith in the car.
Supernationals Heat 2B about to get themselves underway, and sitting there on pole position for this one is Guy Corner's Peugeot 206. Gary Dixon in the middle of the front row of the grid, but again that diesel Audi TT in the hands of Michael Boak has all of the torque of the start. Can he put it to good effect? It's almost 4 wide, isn't it, heading up towards Duffers Dip, but it's Alan Tapscott then again at the wheel of the Corsa that gets the best of starts and is able to assert himself, albeit in the early stages of this race, into the lead, which means that as the 5 cars turn their way out of Leslie's, Tapscott it is that leads. He is under pressure from the white Peugeot 206 of Guy Corner, who's equally as much under pressure from Michael Boak's Audi TT. That car is there, the green car with the white flashes in 3rd place. Gary Dixon is 4th, and Stephen Ratu's MGZR completes the last of the runners in this second heat for the combined Super Nationals and Super 1600s. Michael Boak does not opt for the joker lap. Nearly everybody else does in the field, so Michael Boak will be leading as he turns his way out of the tri-oval loop, heads over the start-finish line. Alan Tapscott, meanwhile, together with Guy Corner and Gary Dixon and Stephen Ratu, have all opted for the joker lap, but there's problems, lots and lots of smoke coming from the Audi TT, and well, it really has been a season to forget so far for Michael Boak. He's been involved in incidents, he's had issues with the car, and further problems again, and a retirement in this second heat will not help his championship hopes for this year. So he is out of the race, which means that Alan Tapscott is continuing to lead. As we ride on board, you can just see how bumpy it is over the loose section of the circuit. Of course, the more and more cars that head over the loose section, the more it becomes rutted over the course of the weekend. And what was a pristine circuit at the beginning of the weekend is just now starting to become a little bumpier, as onto the tri-oval loop goes Jack Thorne, still being chased by Gary Dixon. Superb circuit here at Knockhill. The circuit staff worked very, very hard to get the Rallycross circuit in fine condition for the start of the weekend, and we're now on the last lap of this race, and Gary Dixon is looking to try and gain a position here. Guy Corner not positioning the car as well as he would have wished, heading round through Duffer's Dip, runs wide, heading round through Leslie's, and almost gifts what was second place away there to Gary Dixon. Not sure if he might have a problem here, Guy Corner, because he looked as though he was slowing heading round through Leslie's. He's back up to pace once more, but as our race leader is charging his way up towards the braking area for the tri-oval loop, Alan Tapscott has looked good value over the course of this weekend so far. The Corsa is going to come through and win Heat 2B for the Supernationals. Gary Dixon will finish in second position, and well, Guy Corner has a good run there. He will be chuffed with that one, will Guy Corner. A much, much better race from him. Once again, huge disappointment for Michael Boak. He will forget about that heat, and hopefully the car will be out for the next one. But it is Alan Tapscott that claims the win. Gary Dixon is there in second place ahead of Guy Corner, who was there in third, and Stephen Ratu completes the top four. So the second heat for supercars on the grid. Ollie O'Donovan, of course, returnee, won the first heat. The lights are about to go out in heat 2, and it looks like it's a good start from Julian Godfrey, but a great start from Steve Harris. The red Ford Focus on the left-hand side of your screens is going to lead as they turn their way towards Duffer's Dip for the first time. Ollie O'Donovan tried to break it out around the outside of Julian Godfrey. Godfrey's having nothing of that, locks the brakes, turns his way in towards Leslie's, but importantly hangs on to second position with Ollie O'Donovan there in third place and Steve Hill's Mitsubishi in fourth. No Simon Horton in this heat, unfortunately. Issues with the car have prevented his inclusion, but it is Steve Hill that is out front and is leading the race as they head back onto the tarmac at Hislops. Julian Godfrey at the wheel of the white and blue Ford Fiesta opts for the Joker lap. The lead pair, however, continue round the tri-oval loop, as does Steve Hill. So Julian Godfrey, the only driver to opt for the Joker lap on the opening lap. He has dropped to the tail end of the field, but now will know the task that's ahead of him. He needs to keep those in touching distance ahead and get ready to pounce as and when they opt for their Joker lap. So it's still Steve Harris that leads the race at this stage, despite the very close attentions of Ollie O'Donovan. It's a Focus 1-2, the slightly older car of Steve Harris ahead of the newer car of 2007 champion Ollie O'Donovan. And as they bounce their way off the loose and onto the tarmac, Steve Harris continues around the tri-oval. Onto the Joker lap goes Ollie O'Donovan. So Harris still continuing to lead the race. Ollie O'Donovan on the Joker lap. Steve Hill opts for the Joker lap. Where's O'Donovan going to come out relative to Julian Godfrey? Ahead or behind? The answer to that is behind. The Ford Fiesta of Julian Godfrey ahead of the Ford Focus of Ollie O'Donovan, as our race leader Steve Harris is now on his final lap of the race. Has Julian Godfrey done enough? He still needs to work tirelessly, effortlessly over the course of this next tour of Knockhill to try and hang on to what is currently second place on the road, and hope he's done enough over the course of the last few laps to get ahead of Steve Harris, because Steve Harris, the race leader, will have to take that extra loop this time. Up towards the hairpin at Taylor's he will go. There he goes, round through Taylor's. Has he worked hard enough, Steve Harris? It's been a good race from him so far. Is he going to come out first, second or third? I fear it might be third here, because Julian Godfrey is going to go through and take the victory. Ollie O'Donovan comes through in second position. Steve Harris, despite all of his best efforts, finishes in third place, and Steve Hill completes the top four. A very, very tight second heat there for the MSA British Rallycross Championship competitors in the supercars, but the win goes the way of Julian Godfrey. Ollie O'Donovan was second and Steve Harris was third. So the Retro Rallycross cars head out onto the circuit for their second heat of this weekend up here in Knockhill. And well, the win in Heat 1 went the way of the green and white Mini. There he comes out onto the circuit, that being Lance Foster. But we know that Ray Morgan's Ford Escort is very quick. And we also know that the Volkswagen Beetle in the hands of James Harold, that sits on the outside of the front row of the grid, also has some good pace over the course of this weekend. The green flag is raised, the lights go out now, and the cars accelerate their way down the Stewart Straight. It looks as though it's a good start from James Harold at the wheel of the Volkswagen Beetle. The Ford Escort of Ray Morgan is going to sit there in second position as they head onto the brakes and turn their way through Duffer's Dip for the first time. It is going to be Lance Foster's Mini, the green and white car, that's slotted its way through into third place. Dave Black's Astra is there in fourth, then Ian Biaggi's Mini in fifth, and nice to see him back as well in Retro Rallycross. Paul Smith, the Volkswagen Polo, completes the last of the runners in sixth place, with Lance Foster trying to close onto the coattails of the BDA engined Ford Escort Mark III in the hands of Ray Morgan. The top three as good as tied together, aren't they, as they head off the loose and onto the tarmac, onto the brakes, turn their way through the sweeping right-hander. It's almost a double apex right-hander at the tri-oval loop, and accelerate their way over the start-finish line. Cones go flying as Lance Foster uses all of that part of the circuit and just a little bit more in his efforts to stay on term with the car ahead of him. That white Ford Escort there in the hands of Ray Morgan. He's very close, is Lance Foster. He thought about having a look up the inside, but then decided that discretion was, quite rightly so, the better part of valour, and has had to tuck back behind the Ford Escort yet again, all of the time, with that yellow and blue Volkswagen Beetle of James Harold continuing to lead the race, albeit not by a great deal. These three appear to be fairly evenly matched, don't they, this weekend? And now Ray Morgan's attacking for the lead of the race up the inside of James Harold on the way in towards the tri-oval loop. Couldn't quite get the car anchored up in time, and from gaining a place, Ray Morgan's in danger of losing one here, because he almost, having taken the lead of the race for a split second, dropped back down to second and almost down into third position. Such was the close attentions of Lance Foster behind him. That was a corner ago, and already now they've sorted themselves out. The order actually remains exactly as it was, still with nothing to choose between them, and it's interesting to see how, of course, through the twiddly bits, and there's plenty of those here at Knockhill, that Lance Foster's Mini has the advantage over the more powerful Escort. However, Foster running wide there coming out of Leslie's, it's just dropped him back a little bit. Through the loose section, back towards the tarmac again, and well, Lance Foster is not near enough to mount a challenge on Ray Morgan, but Ray Morgan is close enough to mount a challenge for the lead of the race on James Harold as they head round through the tri-oval loop. The Beetle is being shadowed by the Escort behind, and as they head over the start-finish line, that was a very, very close fought heat. So to confirm the results for the second of the heats in Retro Rallycross, the win goes the way of James Harold. Ray Morgan second, ahead of Lance Foster, Ian Biaggi and Dave Black.
2 or 3 places at the start.
Well, James's car is a real kind of fan pleaser. Lots of people coming around having a look. It's great to see it on the grid again. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it is a handful, yeah, and that's what people like, I think. It's my my late uncle's car from sort of the 80s, 90s era. It was four-wheel drive up until the late 1990s, and it was converted back to rear-wheel drive in its current format. We've rebuilt it from the ground up. So it's the first event. We did Lyddon last year, 3 laps, and we had engine problems. So today is the first time out since it's sort of full rebuild, and it's been going well, but we've got a water pump failure now, so we're out for the day.
Why did you want to kind of bring it back onto the grid? Is it a sentimental thing more than anything?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Peter passed away in 2003, and we all kind of felt that it was just going to gather dust. So we've got it out for him, really, as well as us.
There's plenty of work going on in the paddock here at Knockhill, and there's still plenty of racing to come. Don't go away, join us after the break. Welcome back to Knockhill, the event this weekend, supported by MV Commercials. Tom O'Rourke, the director, has managed to catch a few words with Natalie.
Tom, tell us a little bit about MV Commercial.
We're a national truck and trailer sales company with 3 depots throughout the UK, one in Scotland in Livingston, Haydock and St Albans. So we cover the country nationally. We have roughly 700 trucks on hire at the minute, and we're an expanding business, and we're looking to grow the business in the next 3 years, hopefully up to 1,000 trucks on hire. We're essentially a Scottish business with an English customer base. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to sponsor the event in Knockhill today is we really want to grow our business in Scotland. And although our head office is here, it seems to be that the vast majority of our clients, roughly 80%, would be in England. So Scotland we see as, in the next 5 years, there's a lot of road projects, a lot of good construction projects that we want to be involved in. So I saw this as one of the vehicles that would help get a bit of name identity and some market awareness of our product.
I suppose there's all different types of events, and here at Knockhill as well. Why British Rallycross?
Well, I know Ollie O'Donovan, and he had told me, I was quite surprised about the viewing ratings and the number of people that watch it, you know, throughout the world really. And it's something we've never done before. We normally sponsor football and T-shirt sponsorship of, you know, some local teams and a lot of internet marketing. So it was good to see him winning the first race, and particularly with our name all over his car. So that was nice to see in the first day.
Well, the third and final heat for the MSA Junior Championship, and so far Charlie Bean has claimed both of the heats. It's a good start again from Charlie Bean from pole position. Windscreen wipers on, just a few spots of rain falling in this one, but it is going to be once more that black and blue car of Charlie Bean that leads as they head in towards Duffers Dip for the first time. Jake Taylor is able to slot himself through into second place, and it's looking as though in third position that is Drew Bellaby that sits there in third place, just falling back a shade once more. Into fourth place is Jenny Hawkes as the lead 3 as 1 turn their way through the left-hander and then start to climb uphill once more. Charlie Bean briefly leaping into the air before they then sweep right and begin to work their way towards the start of the tarmac section again at Hislops onto the straight. And as they head on towards the tarmac, Charlie Bean is under pressure here from Jake Taylor, a youngster from Retford who's still studying his GCSEs, looking to try and hunt down Charlie Bean. The two of them as one out of the tri-oval loop, start to climb the hill again, the Stewart Straight, before they reach the crest and then start to head back downhill in towards the braking area for Set Corner and Duffers Dip. Onto the brakes, you can see the windscreen wipers on as the spots of rain continue, and now Jake Taylor's trying around the outside of Charlie Bean. They lean on each other, they both avoid making significant contact with the tyres, and the loser in all of that is Jake Taylor, who's going to lose out here to Drew Bellaby, who's muscled her way through and is now up into second position. So Charlie Bean leads, the silver and black car is Drew Bellaby, and Jake Taylor, from having looked to try and take the lead, finds himself down in third position in this one. Don't forget, of course, we've still got Jenny Hawkes that little bit further back in fourth place in her first season of Rallycross. But the three locked together as they turn their way again in towards the tri-oval. Jake Taylor taking a wider line in. That might give him a little bit more propulsion on the exit, which will allow him to carry that momentum all the way up the Stewart Straight, and he's drawn himself alongside Drew Bellaby here. They are overlapping. You can see the wing mirror folded back on Jake Taylor's car. They're on their last lap as well, but Jake Taylor has just got his nose ahead. Back him into second place he goes, following that mistake on the lap prior when himself and Charlie Bean locked horns. Well, now the order is as it was a lap or so ago, but Jake Taylor runs a little bit wide just coming out of Leslie's into the slightly deeper, looser surface. And that has allowed Charlie Bean just to keep that handy margin that he has between himself and that red car of Jake Taylor. Then the silver and black machine, number 4, in the hands of Drew Bellaby. And that's a big, big mistake for Jenny Hawkes, who got away with it rather. The lead 3, though, absolutely together. Drew Bellaby looking to try and put Jake Taylor under pressure at the same time as he's looking to try and wrestle the lead of the race away from the grasp of Charlie Bean. But 3 are going to head over the start-finish line, not quite in nose-to-tail order, but a very, very close heat for Heat 3 of the MSA Juniors. And it's not the first close race that we've seen for them throughout the course of 2014. Charlie Bean wins the third heat. He's won all the previous 3. Jake Taylor is second. Drew Bellaby was third. And Jenny Hawkes, once more, was fourth.
But it's the same order as usual, and as usual,
So the third and final heat for the Sport Swift, and as the lights will come on in a few moments' time, it is Tristan Ovenden in the middle of the front row of the grid that initially looks to have got the better start, but again that blue car of Jack Brown is looking to try and draw himself alongside. They are still looking as though they are neck and neck as they head into the braking area for Duffers Dip, but it is Tristan Ovenden that's gone through and taken the lead of the race. It's going to be Graham Rodmark who's there in second position, and well, Jack Brown turns in third place. What of Chris Mullen, who's taken 2 wins so far? Well, he's down in 5th place, just ahead of that car, the black and yellow car of Mark Dodsworth, who completes the 6 runners that we've got in the field. Tristan Ovenden looking for his first win, because Chris Mullen, the green car there, number 28 rather, has had things very much his own way in Heat 1 and Heat 2, but he's a little further down through the order as in towards the braking area for the tri-oval loop for the first time comes our race leader Tristan Ovenden, being hounded all the way by Graham Rodmark. As one car that's opted to take the Joker lap this time through is number 38 Jack Brown. Also with him is Chris Mullen, and we're nose to tail for the lead of the race. Onto the brakes, in towards the right-hander set corner, then down through Duffers Dip. It is Tristan Ovenden that has just about got his Suzuki Swift ahead still of the champion from last year, Graham Rodmark. We saw him finish 3rd in the championship back in 2011, Graham Rodmark. Well, Tristan Ovenden finished in the runners-up spot last year. He would dearly love to lift the championship crown. Well, he's going the right way about it in this heat. 3rd in the first heat, 2nd in the second. Can he win the 3rd? As he works his way back onto the tarmac, onto the brakes, he will continue round. He's not taking the Joker lap this time through. However, the car behind him is, that being Graham Rodmark. So, over the start-finish line and onto the last lap of the race goes Tristan Ovenden. Graham Rodmark sitting there in 2nd position, or was prior to taking the Joker lap, and I think he's still come back out in 2nd place. It's been a good lap from Graham Rodmark, with, by the look of things, Chris Mullen up the inside of Jack Brown at the area of Duffers Dip and is able to muscle his way through. So a position gained for Chris Mullen. Tristan Ovenden, though, still out front and leading the race. Of course, he has got to take the Joker lap on this lap, as he is about to carry on down past Hislops and up towards the bottom section of the circuit at Taylor's. There's Graham Rodmark sitting there in 2nd place. Where's Tristan Ovenden going to come out? He's going to come out ahead, and he's going to take the 3rd and final heat in the Swift Sports. Chased all of the way to the line now by Graham Rodmark, who's had a solid weekend so far. Hasn't claimed the wins, but he's racked up the points in terms of the heats. So it is Tristan Ovenden that claims the win. In 2nd position is Graham Rodmark. 3rd place goes the way of Chris Mullen, ahead of Jack Brown, Rob Maynard and Mark Dodsworth.
Which is just enough to let Ovenden get through and take the checkered flag.
So BMW Minis for their 3rd and final heat, and well, the red car that we can see there on the left of our screens, Kiefer Hudson, has been quick all weekend but hasn't finished a heat as yet. He's retired in the previous 2. The lights go out, and as they accelerate their way down towards Duffers Dip for the first time, it's the all-white car of Chris Hudson that is looking as though he's going to take the lead of the race here. David Bell and Kiefer Hudson are almost side by side as they head into the braking area for Duffers Dip. David Bell trying to move his car up the inside, heading in towards Leslie's corner. They bounce off each other briefly. David Bell has been able to assert himself up into 2nd place at the expense of the red car of Kiefer Hudson, who's down into 3rd place, with Rebecca Ryder completing the top 4 as they head through the left-hand section. See the Minis working very, very hard on the loose surface. The drivers working overtime to try and keep things pointing in the right direction. But it is still Chris Hudson that leads the race, the all-white Mini. The white Mini with the blue roof is that of David Bell, who is under pressure here from Kiefer Hudson. As we say, hugely keen to finish a race, would be rather keen to finish as highly as he can as well. Working overtime to try and hang on to what is now the lead battle for the race, because that car, Chris Hudson, has taken the Joker lap, as has the silver car, number 87 of Rebecca Ryder, and now Keith Hudson is looking for the lead of the race. David Bell makes sure he has the car positioned, closes the door, does not allow Keith Hudson through, but then David Bell makes a mistake, heading onto the loose, round through Leslie's, and Kiefer Hudson is through and into the lead of the race. David Bell, a mistake all of his own making, is now down into 2nd position. Kiefer Hudson's car bouncing through the air. Well, it was the bouncing through the air that I think caused his retirement in Heat 1. He is still pushing on as hard as he possibly can as they head back onto the tarmac section yet again, and then turn their way through the tri-oval loop, with Kiefer Hudson still pushing on in the lead. And I think this time it may well be that David Bell has opted for the Joker lap. Yes, indeed he has. So David Bell opts for the Joker lap. Where is he going to come out relative to the all-white car of Chris Hudson, he was doing battle with? The answer to that is behind. He's down into third position. We're on our last lap, and it's the race leader Kiefer Hudson that still has at this stage to take his Joker lap, as these two are now battling for what is currently second and third place, but may possibly become the lead of the race once number 43, the red Mini of Kiefer Hudson, has taken that extra loop down towards Taylor's, which he will have to do on this lap through the left-hand element on the loose before the track starts to climb uphill again and turn through the right-hand aspect. These two pushing on in the lead. Kiefer Hudson about to head down to the bottom of the circuit towards Taylor's hairpin. He will have to take the Joker lap this time through, and this now is the battle for what is still at this stage second and third place, subject to where Kiefer Hudson comes out. Here he comes out of the chicane. He is going to take the lead of the race by the look of things. A very close third and final heat as David Bell looks to try and muscle in on second on the charge to the line. A very tight heat indeed from the BMW Minis for their third heat. Bodes well for the final, doesn't it? The win goes the way of Kiefer Hudson. Chris Hudson is there in second place, with David Bell a whisker away in third, and Rebecca Ryder was fourth.
So David Bell did the fastest lap of the race with a 52.503, but it was only good enough for third place. Rebecca Ryder comes
third and final heat for the hot hatches is already underway, and it's a very good start from Craig Lomax from the outside of the front row of the grid. Thomas Marciniak looking to try and muscle his way through. His is the white and red Saxo that's going to turn its way in towards Duffer's Dip in second position, and it looked as though it was David Ellis. Yes, it is indeed the black car with the pink bumpers that has managed to squeeze its way through into third place. Thomas Felgotz is there in fourth, and well, yes, issues, shall we say, for Stephen Gaunt. The bonnet has come right up into the vision of the driver, and he's doing the sensible thing. He's trying to get the car out of the way. That brought about the red flags, and on the restart again it was another very good start from Craig Lomax, with still Thomas Marciniak there in second place, David Ellis in third, and Thomas Felgotz in fourth. But it was all very close, isn't it, heading up towards Duffer's Dip as they turn their way in towards Duffer's Dip and then onto the brakes downhill. David Ellis has just about been able to squeeze his way through ahead of the black Peugeot of Thomas Felgotz, so they're pairing off at this stage as they turn their way through the left-hander, then up towards the right-hander. Craig Lomax has been fairly unbeatable so far this weekend, and as things currently stand, he's got Thomas Marciniak right there with him, as leaping into the air goes Thomas Felgotz in fourth position. Onto the brakes goes our race leader through the tri-oval loop, as down towards Taylor's on the Joker lap goes number 48 Thomas Marciniak. He's followed by David Ellis, the black car with the pink bumpers. So Craig Lomax now leads. The black Peugeot number 66 of Thomas Felgotz will be up into second place. Of course, the cars in first and second respectively as yet to take the Joker lap. That is one of them, that being the car of Thomas Felgotz, who makes a mistake heading down through Duffer's Dip. You can see damage to the front end of his car, not for the first time this weekend. How unfortunate is that for Thomas Felgotz? And he is sitting slap bang in the middle of the circuit. David Ellis has to take avoiding action. No such issues though, all well behind him for Craig Lomax. The plumber from Pontefract is looking good value here. Thomas Felgotz does get going, but will be down in what looks like fourth position as round on the Joker lap towards the checkered flag goes Craig Lomax. Is he going to make it 3 out of 3? He is, only just though. The charge towards the line. Thomas Marciniak going superbly well, but it wasn't to be. He was almost on the bumper of Craig Lomax, and for the unfortunate Thomas Felgotz, well, he is going to finish down in fourth position with yet again further damage to the front end of the Peugeot. Craig Lomax takes his third win, wins all 3 heats. Thomas Marciniak is there in second place with David Ellis in third, and the damaged car of Thomas Felgotz in fourth.
Got a text message asking us to give a mention.
So on to Heat 3A for the Supernationals, and with the green flag about to be waved at the front of the grid, we've had good starts from Alan Tapscott at the wheel of his Corsa. Watch out for the mid-engine car, and Alan Tapscott goes absolutely nowhere off the start. The mid-engine car of Malcolm Boyd, as expected, the Toyota MR2 rockets away, and Alan Tapscott is left in the background, still on the start line, going absolutely nowhere. So Malcolm Boyd it is that leads the race. The Peugeot of Stuart Emery, the white and orange car there, in second place, and it looks as though Guy Corner is there in third. The Citroen C2 must say that it's Jack Thorne there in fourth place, ahead of Stephen Ratu in fifth, and Alan Tapscott being pushed away from the start line. What a shame that is for the car that has run like a metronome over the course of this weekend, not to be in the third heat. Let's hope he can get it sorted for the final, if he even makes the final as a result of that retirement. Malcolm Boyd continuing to lead the race overall. He heads onto the brakes, turns through the tri-oval, and will work his way up towards the Stuart Straight as Guy Corner's Peugeot, the all-white Peugeot 206, heads round the Joker lap, as does the MGZR of Stephen Ratu, and the second of the C2s we've got in the field, Phil Chicken. We heard from Phil earlier on when he caught up with Natalie. He accelerates his way onto the Stuart Straight, as the other C2, being this car, Jack Thorne, the red and white car with the yellow flashes, is trying to hunt down the car that's currently in second place, that being Stuart Emery's Peugeot. UK Battery enters car in the hands of the project manager from Faversham, sitting there in second place. He's got the C2 right behind him, the Citroen. He's got the Toyota MR2 directly ahead in terms of Malcolm Boyd. Malcolm Boyd onto the brakes, flicks his way in towards the tri-oval loop as Stuart Emery this time heads for the Joker lap. So through the Joker lap, and is starting to accelerate his way up towards the conclusion of the lap. And Stuart Emery now, by the look of things, is ahead of Jack Thorne and Guy Corner, who are going side by side for what will now be, I think, second in the race, because Malcolm Boyd has gone missing somewhere over the course of that lap. Jack Thorne makes a mistake, runs very wide coming out of Duffer's Dip, just about is able to gather it all up, almost cost him second position. And Stuart Emery is continuing to lead this race. This is now the fight for what will be second and third position, with the MGZR of Stephen Ratu now up into fourth place following the retirement of Malcolm Boyd. Stuart Emery though works his way in towards the braking area for the tri-oval loop for the final time, flicks right again, and accelerates his way towards what will be a win in Heat 3A of the Supernationals. It's all going very well this weekend for the championship leader, certainly in Heats 2 and Heats 3. He will be delighted with that. Stuart Emery comes through and takes the win. In second position is Guy Corner, with Jack Thorne in third, and Stephen Ratu completes the top four.
Diving at my text message, now we've got that race finished. Ian Schiller's done it in 4 hours 31 minutes. He done 80.
So Heat 3B for the Supernationals, Vincent Bristow, Slamavir Woolik. We've also got Michael Boak and Gary Dixon in this one. 4 different manufacturers represented: Audi, Ford, Vauxhall and BMW. And as the lights go out, it's a good start for the BMW of Vincent Bristow, the black car on the right hand side of your screen, as they charge their way down towards Duffer's Dip for the first time. It looks as though, however, Gary Dixon is going to take the lead of the race. Windscreen wipers on, you can see spits of rain on the camera, which will tell you it's getting greasy out there now. Gary Dixon leads though. There goes number 60, which is Slavomir Woolik, who has really had a very torrid weekend so far. He will hope that he might be able to at least finish a race here. Retirement from the first 2. Gary Dixon leads at the wheel of the Vauxhall Astra. There's Vincent Bristow. We haven't seen anything yet of the Audi TT of Michael Boak. He had problems in Heat 2, and I think he's still out there and touring, as I could briefly see the car in the distance a few moments ago, but the Audi TT is not performing as it usually would. Vincent Bristow, you can see just how slippy the circuit's getting there, and that has caught out Slavomir Woolik behind. It almost caught out Vincent Bristow, but Slavomir Woolik has not only spun the car, he's now deposited in the gravel trap down at Taylor's on the inside at the hairpin. We're already though onto the last lap of this heat, and in deteriorating conditions it is Gary Dixon that has shown a clean pair of heels to everybody else. There goes Vincent Bristow, as exuberantly driven as you will ever find it. The BMW really is a crowd pleaser. Vincent is able to get that to some stunning angles and usually, largely, bring it back as well. He's been good value over the course of this weekend as Vincent Bristow, good value in the 2014 Championship as well. And the BMW is looking as though he is going to finish here in second position as Gary Dixon works his way out of the Taylor's hairpin, turns his way in towards the chicane and accelerates his way towards a win in the third of the heat. A bit of a race of attrition in reality, but it is going to be Gary Dixon that will come through and take the victory. Vincent Bristow in that superbly driven BMW will finish in second place. And what of Michael Boak? We haven't seen a lot of him in this heat because all has not been well with the Audi TT, but importantly he will be classified. So Michael Boak will come through and finish in third position ahead of the car of Slavomir Woollett, which again has encountered problems. So the third heat for the supercars about to get itself underway, and one absentee from the grid is the Subaru Impreza of Simon Horton. So the lights will come on and flash out in a few moments' time. Ollie O'Donovan looking for his second victory. Julian Godfrey looking for his second victory. They've had a heat win apiece so far, but it's Steve Hill and Steve Harris on the front row of the grid. But a great start from Ollie O'Donovan, almost four wide heading up towards Duffer's Dip. They all just about avoid contact with each other, and it is Ollie O'Donovan that has gone through and has taken the lead of the race. The two Steves, that being Hill and Harris, side by side round through Leslie's, and Julian Godfrey, the reigning champion, the 3 times British champion, is down in fourth position. Who would have thought that? As they work their way through the right-hander on the loose and start to bounce their way towards the tarmac, which is where they will head on to in a few moments' time. It's the Irishman, Ollie O'Donovan, that leads at the wheel of his Ford Focus. Some of the cars opting for the Joker lap that time through, one of which is the Mitsubishi in the hands of Steve Hill, the other of which would appear to be the Ford Fiesta in the hands of Julian Godfrey. So they've dropped down to third and fourth places respectively. This man, Ollie O'Donovan, is continuing on his merry way and starting to put a bit of daylight between himself and that red Ford Focus, the slightly older model, in the hands of Steve Harris. So through the left-hander goes Steve Harris. Flicks his way right at the wheel of the Burton power-tuned Ford Focus. Ollie O'Donovan still continuing round, not as yet opting for the Joker lap. We've seen Ollie tend to leave it until later on in the race, and it would appear he's looking to do exactly the same this time. Over the start-finish line goes Ollie O'Donovan, onto his last lap of the race. So this is the lap on which our race leader must take that additional loop that brings them down on the main race circuit, down towards the Taylor's hairpin, the right-hander. Ollie O'Donovan accelerating his way back onto the loose section. Controlling the car beautifully. You can hear the whistling and the popping and the banging of the wastegate on the turbocharged car of this four-wheel drive monster Ford Focus that really does take some taming here at Knockhill. Off the loose, onto the tarmac for the final time. Ollie O'Donovan looking to try and push on. Julian Godfrey is a little bit further down through the order than ideally he would wish. He's there in third position at this stage, behind the car of Steve Hill, the 7 times national rally champion, going superbly well in this heat, but he's not going to beat Ollie O'Donovan just at the checkered flag. It was a great run from the car of Steve Hill, but as they head towards the checkered flag, it is going to be a win for Ollie O'Donovan. Second place for Steve Hill. Promoted to third was Steve Harris, and demoted to fourth with a time penalty was Julian Godfrey.
Yeah, because he was fourth across the line.
So it's the RX150s that are up next for their third and final heat. When the lights go out, it looks as though it's a good start from what looks like Kevin Feeney from the outside of the front row of the grid. James Grint trying to muscle his way through up the inside, and I don't quite think he's going to make it stick as they head onto the brakes and turn their way in towards Duffer's Dip for the first time. The red car of Mark Scott makes contact with the tyres, leaps his way into the air. That is going to drop him down through the order subtly, give him a bit of work to do actually. The 2 times champion has dropped his way down through the order as they start to turn their way onto the loose section. There goes the car of Mark Scott, the red and blue car, very easy to pick out. Richard Moore is the car that he's trying to put under pressure as they work their way onto the tarmac once more. Richard Moore locks the front wheels up, gets very sideways indeed, tries to gather it all up, spins the car through 90 degrees and will continue in the race, but has dropped right towards the very tail end of the field. Number 58 there, Adam Sargent, doing battle with the others around as they fight over 4th position. And Mark Scott is now up into what will be 3rd place. You can see just how hard he's trying. He hit the tyres heading round through Duffer's Dip on lap 1. He almost inverted the car, hitting the tyres that time. As you can see, the ruts are just upsetting these buggies slightly now as they head on towards the section of the circuit at Hislops. It brings them back into the tarmac section. James Grint really started to put Kevin Feeney under pressure. James Grint, who hasn't had the best of weekends so far. He was 5th in the first heat, he was 5th in the second. Well, he's up to 2nd here and challenging for the lead of the race now, not quite alongside our race leader Kevin Feeney as they head on to the final lap of the race. Keep your eye also on Mark Scott, who's closing ever more in the background in 3rd position, nose to tail for the lead of the race. Mark Scott there in 3rd place. James Grint really has tried very hard to try and get himself up onto terms with Kevin Feeney. Now, what can he try and do to take the lead of the race as they head through the right-hand section on the loose? Feeney ahead of Grint with the ever-closing Mark Scott up towards the tri-oval loop, and there's a mistake for James Grint heading onto the tarmac. Mark Scott has to take to the grass in avoidance, and that means that Kevin Feeney is going to be able to breathe a very large sigh of relief round through the tri-oval loop for the final time. He accelerates his way towards the checkered flag. First win in the heats for him over the course of this weekend, and very hard fought it was indeed. James Grint will recover, there he goes, he'll finish in 3rd. Kevin Feeney takes his first heat win, Mark Scott is in 2nd, and James Grint, despite the spin, still manages to finish in 3rd.
The fastest lap of the race went to James Grint, but a little bit of over-enthusiasm perhaps cost him his 2nd place and indeed cost him the lead.
So the serious matter of the finals underway, and the MSA Juniors are just working their way already down in towards Duffer's Dip. It is Jake Taylor that leads. Charlie Bean there in 2nd place, runs wide coming out of Leslie's and inverts the car with a very soft impact actually. But I'm sure that Charlie Bean will be absolutely fine. The car just caught the banking at the wrong angle. That was the first attempt at the heat. Let's try again, shall we? Charlie Bean will be able to retake the start. It was a very soft impact into the barriers. You can see a very small dint in the roof and the bonnet, but Charlie Bean absolutely fine and will try and mount a challenge for the lead of this race. There is Jake Taylor in 2nd position, and as they all get themselves lined up in the appropriate places, the 2nd attempt at this MSA Junior Final about to get itself underway. Charlie Bean starting from the inside of the front row of the grid and is away very slowly indeed. All, I don't think, is well with the car that suffered that soft impact, but unfortunately the inversion. Jake Taylor leads. Drew Bellamy is there in 2nd position. It's going to be Jenny Hawkes who's there in 3rd, and the unfortunate Charlie Bean, I fear, may be destined for retirement over the course of this final, which is such a shame for the driver who won all 3 heats. It's Jake Taylor that is pushing on in the lead of the race. Drew Bellamy sticking with him though in 2nd position as they head round through the right-hand element on the loose before they start to rejoin the circuit at Hislops. Jake Taylor, who finished 2nd in all 3 of the heats. Drew Bellamy, who finished 3rd in all 3 of the heats. Such was the dominance and the consistency that all of the drivers had. But it is Jake Taylor that leads as they start to climb up the Stewart Straight once more. There is number 13, Jenny Hawkes. She is there in 3rd position. But the leading pair just working their way onto the loose again, round through Leslie's before they flick left and then start to turn right once more. Well, now Drew Bellamy has really started to reel in Jake Taylor for the lead of the race. Drew Bellamy looking to try and mount a challenge up the inside. The drive from North Allerton dives up the inside of Jake Taylor. There's contact between the two of them. Jake Taylor will be able to reverse and continue in the race, but Drew Bellamy has taken the lead of the race and is working away over the start-finish line, punching the air with delight. Let's just have a look at the quick replay. Just the lightest of contact between the two of them. Drew Bellaby was able to muscle her way through. Jake Taylor off and into the grass. He will rejoin, but now Drew Bellaby is on her final lap of the race and is turning away out of the tri-oval loop. Drew Bellaby accelerates towards the start-finish line, punch in the air with delight, and she looks pleased with that, doesn't she? Jake Taylor may be less pleased with second position. He turns his way through towards the conclusion of the lap and accelerates his way towards the start-finish line. But it is going to be a win in the final for Drew Bellaby. She comes through and claims the honours. In second position is Jake Taylor. Third goes the way of Jenny Hawkes, and Charlie Bean, of course, was a non-finisher and in fourth. So with that victory in the final, Drew Bellaby now leads the championship on 37 points from Charlie Bean on 35 and Jake Taylor on 32. It's all still rather close though.
Well, Drew, we had to have 2 goes at your final, so talk us through the first one.
Well, we all got off the line quite well, and then I think it was the third lap, or the second lap, Jake and Charlie were in front of me, and then the next thing I saw was Charlie on his side, so not really sure what happened. Maybe a bit of contact between Jake and Charlie, but I don't know, I think Charles all right there. So
does that not frighten you a little bit when you see something like that?
No, it doesn't really bother me because it was like a bit off the track, so it wasn't on the line that I would have taken. So when I saw him on his roof, I didn't really think anything of it and just came back in and got back on with it.
And then the second round of it then, you really give your friend a nudge, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't really mean to, but came around the bottom corner and I had the inside line. He turned in on me, so I wasn't backing out my line, so I took the win.
And here you are with the trophy, and how does it feel to get that first win?
Oh, I'm absolutely over the moon. Just second meeting and hopefully going to carry on this way.
And it stops Charlie's winning streak as well.
I think we're drawing in the championship now, so need to keep it up.
Does that give you a real confidence boost then?
Yeah, just keep him out of the way.
So on to the final for the Swift Sports, and with Tristan Ovenden sitting on the front row of the grid, he has got Tim Mullen sitting there on pole position. That's the green car with the black stripes, and on the outside of him is the black car with the day glow stripes. That is Graham Rodmarks, and as the lights go out, all three charge down towards Duffer's Dip for the first time, with Rob Maynard's orange car slotting itself through to, by the look of things, fourth, possibly even fifth position, but it's going to be Graham Rodmark from the outside of the front row of the grid that has taken the early lead in this final. Chris Mullen, who won 2 of the 3 heats there, in second place, Tristan Ovenden in third, and that man Jack Brown, who's had an impressive weekend so far, sitting there in fourth position as they start to climb back uphill on the loose section up towards the right-hander. Rob Maynard dropping down the orange car there into 5th position, and Mark Dodsworth rounding out the last of the runners in 6th place. But it's Graham Rodmark who is very much under pressure from Chris Mullen, who closes in, heading round through the tri-oval loop, and is looking to try and dive his way up the inside onto 2 wheels for Chris Mullen. So close was he to Graham Rodmark, he almost inverted the car there heading on the exit of the tri-oval loop. He's lost a bit of time, that's dropped him slightly into the clutches of the red car with the yellow flashes of Tristan Ovenden. But this is looking as though it is going to pan out to be one of those epic Swift Sport battles that we've seen already so many times this season. A very competitive one-make category in Rallycross if Swift Sport. Graham Rodmark continuing to lead, now under pressure from Chris Mullen. Having made that mistake on the lap prior, he's hauled himself back away from the red car there in 3rd place of Tristan Ovenden, and is now looking to try and mount a challenge once more for the lead of the race. Onto the brakes, in towards the tri-oval loop goes Graham Rodmark, as Chris Mullen this time opts for the Joker lap. So he will head down towards Taylor's now. Tristan Ovenden is following him on the Joker lap, as is the orange car of Rob Maynard. So those 3 opt for the slightly longer loop this time through, which at least now has got the job done. It promotes this car number 38, Jack Brown, the blue car, up a position or 2. And now Chris Mullen and that man Tristan Ovenden will look to try and get in another 2 or 3 good laps towards the tail end of this race to see, when things pan out, whether they are able to overhaul the current race leader, car number 1 Graham Rodmark, who of course is as yet to take the Joker lap. So through the left and right sweeps on the loose. The front end of Tristan Overnden's car being raised into the air there as he hit one of the bumps on the loose section. Up towards the tri-oval loop. Chris Mullen looking as though he has done a good job here and is going to come back out in the lead of the race now that Graham Rodmark has done his Joker lap. So over the start-finish line, on to the last lap of the race they go. Chris Mullen leading, Graham Rodmark's there in second place. Then the red car of Tristan Ovenden. It looks like Rob Maynard is vying for fourth place with the blue car of Jack Brown. It is this lead three that pulled away substantially so from the rest of the runners. And well, for Chris Mullen, he won Heat 1, he won Heat 2. He finished third in Heat 3, which put him on pole position for the final, and it does look as though he is going to claim a win here in the final. Chris Mullen might have been a slow start to his championship campaign when Linden Hill, round one, didn't go the way he would have expected, but since then it has all fallen into place very, very neatly for Chris Mullen, who comes through and takes the checkered flag and the win in the Swift Sport final here at Knockhill. He will be absolutely delighted with that. The rest of the field just working their way through, but the win goes the way of Chris Mullen. In second position is Graham Rodmark. Tristan Ovenden was third, ahead of Rob Maynard, Jack Brown and Mark Dodsworth. So Tristan Ovenden will lead Knockhill, leading the championship. Chris Mullen up into second place, with Graham Rodmark there in third and Rob Maynard in fourth position.
Chris, congratulations. A real battle with Graham there at the end, but you took the Joker right at the crucial point, I think.
Yeah, didn't have the best to start. Graham got a really good run on us. Followed him for a lap. He made a little mistake coming through the bottom corner. Tried to nip up the inside of him, but I clipped a tyre which put us on two wheels. So I lost a bit of ground. Next lap round, Graham didn't take his Joker. I thought now's my chance, so I took it there and then and managed to gain a few more yards on him and pass him before the checkered flag.
So the final for the LHMC RX150 buggies. And with the front row of the grid already having been placed in position, the marshals working their way down through the order. Mark Scott will start on pole position for this one, car number 1. Number 5, which is Kevin Feeney, will start on the middle of the front row of the grid. There you can see his car, and the outside of the front row of the grid is number 11, Richard Moore. That is James Grint, just coming into position now. He sits on the inside of the second row. And we're about to get the RX150s underway. We ride on board with James Grint in that position on the inside of the second row of the grid. He's not had the best of weekends as yet. Let's see what he can do in the final. Not a bad start from him. We're looking ahead at the blue and red car of Mark Scott as they head down towards Stuffer's Dip. Bodywork flies from what I think was James Grint's car actually, but it's going to be Kevin Feeney that will lead the race as they turn their way in towards Leslie's for the first time. James Grint soaring away at the steering wheel as he sits there in fourth position. You can see just how hard these drivers have to work to continually keep the rear end of these very lightweight, very powerful buggies in check as he is already able to muscle his way through and ahead. So a position gain there for James Grint. It's going to be Kevin Feeney that leads as he makes a subtle mistake coming round through a tri-oval loop. That puts Mark Scott into the lead of the race. So over the start-finish line they go. Mark Scott looking backwards at Kevin Feeney, and as they head onto the brakes and turn their way in towards Stuffer's Dip, it's 3-1 for the lead of the race. James Grint trying very hard indeed in what is third position. There he goes, round through the right-hander up towards the left. Ride once more on board with our race leader. You can hear the engine note rising as the cars hit the bump, and you can see the tail end of the car leaping into the air there. We're about to rejoin the tarmac though, our race leader, and it is still Kevin Feeney who's there in second position. Doing a very good job, Kevin Feeney, so far this weekend. A third, a second and a win in the 3 of the heats that we've had so far. But he is coming under pressure in this one. And getting away all of the time in the lead of the race is the car in the hands of Mark Scott as they head downhill in towards the breakout for Seb, and there goes James Grint, and well, smoke coming from James Grint's car. All is not well for the car in third position, and well, it's already not been the best of weekends and the best of showings for James Grint, and that car clearly has an issue. See whether the car can hang on until the end of the race, but smoke is getting ever worse for the tail end of that car, and I do fear the worst for James Grint as he makes a mistake heading through the off-road section, through the loose, rejoins the circuit. You can see as we ride on board how much smoke there is, and James Grint is suffering for visibility yet. That car really needs to be pulling off the racing line now, because that is lots and lots of what looks like oil smoke coming from the tail end of James Grint's car. He is still pushing on, but surely will have to retire that car before too much longer. James Grint is now pulling the car off the circuit, which does promote what looks like Richard Moore now up into third position, and what a torrid weekend for James Grint. Right up there in the championship standings after the first 2 rounds, but now the championship pendulum is swinging in favour of this man, the 2012 champion, the 23rd champion, you could argue the 24 champion-elect Mark Scott, who heads onto the brakes, turns his way through the tri-oval loop, the double apex right-hander, accelerates his way up towards the checkered flag. Mark Scott takes a win in the final here at Knockhill, and there is the remains of James Grint's car. What a shame it is for James Grint. Action right the way towards the end as well, spins right the way down through the order. I think that's Don McLeod who's had the issue there, and for James Grint, yeah, well, the car might look in one piece, but I suspect the engine internals might look entirely different. The recovering car of Larry Sargent, by the look of things, heads over the start-finish line. He will take the checkered flag despite the moment at the final corner, but the win will go the way of a delighted Mark Scott. He will be pleased as punch with that. Mark Scott claims the win. Kevin Feeney is in second place ahead of Richard Moore, Adam and Larry Sargent, and James Grint, of course, finishing in 6th. So in terms of the championship, Mark Scott's done it again. Maximum points in all of the rounds so far. We've got a tie now for 2nd and 3rd. James Grint and Kevin Feeney both on 45 points.
Mark, congratulations. Does it make it even more special that it's at your home track?
Certainly does, yeah. No, I mean, it's been a great weekend. Unfortunately, James has had a lot of bad luck. Didn't really challenge me in the final, so it's been a relatively easy final for me, but yeah, very, very pleased, and 3 wins out of 3. I'm not complaining, so it's great.
You say bad luck for James, but it certainly gives you that space, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I don't ever wish people not to finish races. I want to challenge for the championship and win it fairly. So yeah, all in all, it's been a good weekend for me.
So the BMW Mini Final, and we've seen some close racing from them. We've had 3 different winners in 3 different heats so far. Who is going to win the final? Well, we will find out over the course of the next few moments, because the lights go out, and what are now the 3 remaining cars accelerate their way down towards Duffer's Dip for the first time. Kiefer Hudson not able to take this final as a result of the problems that have befallen him throughout the course of this weekend, and it's going to be Chris Hudson, therefore, that leads the race, with David Bell in second place, making a mistake heading in towards Leslie's corner. That drops him from second down to third. Rebecca Ryder now is up into second position at the wheel of the silver car with the orange bumpers, and that really has played into the hands of number 45, Chris Hudson. He took a win in the first of the heats. He finished second in the next 2 to line the car up on pole position for this final, and will now that David Bell has made a mistake, it has relieved the pressure from our race leader, who on the first lap is opting to take the joker lap, locks the brakes, turning his way in towards Taylor's, will accelerate his way out, and it also looks as though Rebecca Ryder has also opted to take the joker lap this time through. So David Bell heads over the start-finish line in the lead of the race, but is now just the sole remaining car that needs to take that extra loop of the circuit that brings him right the way down to the very bottom of the track at the Taylor's hairpin. He's just now turning his way through Leslie's, back off the tarmac and onto the loose, and he leads the race, but needs to work hard following that mistake that he made heading round through Duffer's Dip on the first lap. It's going to be an uphill battle again. That boot just coming loose as well. That won't help as well. That will act as an extra air brake, giving an extra drag against the car. And as they head onto their last lap of this race, you can see now just how close Chris Hudson has been able to move his Mini right up onto the coattails of David Bell, who this time will take the Joker lap. And it's going to be what will be a fairly easy win ultimately for Chris Hudson. David Bell with the boot aloft and having taken the Joker lap comes through and finishes in second position. So not quite the final that we were after. The win, however, goes the way of Chris Hudson. Second position is David Bell and third is Rebecca Ryder. What about poor old Kiefer Hudson? He has not had the best of weekends. So David Bell dominating the championship on 61 points. Rebecca Ryder up to second now on 32, with Chris and Kiefer Hudson in third and fourth respectively.
Chris, congratulations. Good comeback for you.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better day really. We struggled at the beginning of the day and won the first heat, and we struggled again in the third, and the car just came good in the final one. It's a shame I can't do all the rounds this year though.
Yeah, it is a real shame that you can't do all them, because you'd love that winning feeling that everyone.
Oh, definitely. I've won the championship 2 years. I'd like to win it every year I do it, but it's not possible. We'll be back.
You were very close to David Bell on that last lap, but he took the Joker in that lap. How much did that help in that last lap?
Well, I took the Joker and I wasn't sure when David did, and I kept catching him up, and I thought, has he taken it, has he not? And then when he went to the Joker, I kind of knew that I'd won, and it did feel good.
So on to the final for the hot hatch, and well, Craig Lomax has dominated the season so far, let alone this weekend, winning all 3 heats. His blue car with the red flashes sits there on pole as the lights go out. Once more he gets a good start, but is being hassled for the lead of the race by Thomas Marciniak as they head downhill and into the braking area for Duffer's Dip for the first time. So Thomas Felgotts and Stephen Gaunt not able to take part in the final, as the 3 cars that remain in hot hatch turn their way onto the loose for the first time. It is Lomax that leads. Marciniak is there in second place, and the black car with the pink bumpers of David Ellis completes the top 3 as they head round through the sweeping right-hander that brings them off the loose onto the tarmac. The lead 2 just getting away a little bit now from the software engineer from Leeds, that being David Ellis, who sits there in third place. Lomax continues round on the Trioval loop. The Joker lap is taken by Thomas Marciniak. So Craig Lomax will be pushing on. Here comes Thomas Marciniak in his Citroën Saxo, looking a little bit battered after what has been a fairly fraught weekend here for most of the Rallycross competitors. So Lomax now leads. David Ellis there, the black car with the pink bumpers, number 17, is in second position. We didn't see him out at Valkenswaard in Holland. Nice to see him back with the championship this weekend. But Craig Lomax is one of those drivers that has dominated, winning all 3 heats so far this weekend. He won the final at Lydden Hill, he won the final at Valkenswaard, and is leading the final here in Knockhill. Comes into this weekend leading the championship, and well, what can he do in the final here? Heads onto the Joker lap this time, so down towards the bottom section of the circuit, the right-hand hairpin at Taylor's, and then the sprint up towards the temporary chicane. David Ellis heads for the Joker lap, as by the look of things, Thomas Marciniak makes a mistake coming into the Trioval loop. That damages the front end of his car. It will have cost him time as well, and let's hope that it hasn't damaged it sufficiently so that it affects him over the course of the remainder of this race. But he just ran wide coming into the corner, thumped the tyres, and you can see now as they head onto their last lap of the race, you can see the damage to the front end of the car, the bumper having been knocked off. It's dragging underneath the car. You can see one of the wheel arches as well, the wheel trims, just hanging off the edge of his car as well. Well, I said a few moments ago that Thomas Marciniak's car was looking a bit beaten up after the weekend. It's looking even more beaten up now, isn't it? No such issues though for Craig Lomax, who is charging his way towards what looks like another victory in the final. Despite the damage, Thomas Marciniak is still pressing on, leaping the car into the air, and yet there you can see the remainder of bits of his car on the circuit. But Craig Lomax is going to do it again, isn't he? Another win for Craig Lomax, and well, he looks chuffed with that. The runner-up in Hot Hatch in 2013 is as yet to be beaten in the finals in 2014. The win goes the way of the dominant Craig Lomax. Thomas Martiniak is there in second place, and David Ellis completes the top 3. So Craig Lomax continues to lead the championship on 66 points, maximum points from him so far. And then it's Thomas Velgotz is there in second place. Catching up though is Thomas Marciniak in third on 34.
We spoke about it right at the beginning of the season, but you changing to the 16 valve, how much of a difference has that made? Is it solely down to that?
It's solely down to that. Yeah, it's got to be. It must be. I was there last year, but I'm where I want to be now. I'm well in front of them all.
Well, you must be glad you made that change then.
Yeah, I've at moon with it, yeah. So, and I'm glad to go away from a race meeting with no panel damage for once.
So the Super 1600s get their own final. They've been mixed up with the Super Nationals so far this weekend, and it's the 2 Citroen C2s of Jack Thorne and Phil Chicken respectively. The red car of Jack Thorne charges its way down towards Duffer's Dip for the first time and is already starting to build a little bit of a margin over the other Super 1600 entrant that we've got over the course of this weekend, that being Phil Chicken, who would dearly like to ruffle a few feathers here at Knockhill. We heard from him earlier on saying he's trying to get to grips with this car, still knows that he needs to rev it a little bit more, and well, Jack Thorne is already starting to open up the margin. Within the heats they were mixed amongst the Super Nationals, but the Super 1600s do get their own final, and hence Jack Thorne is pressing on and looking fairly dominant here. He is on his last lap, he turns his way out of the tri-oval and will take the win in the Super 1600 final. Phil Chicken will have to settle for second place. So just 2 cars in that one. Jack Thorne wins the Super 1600 final from Phil Chicken. In terms of the championship, Phil Chicken leads the championship on 54 points. He's the only driver to have done all 3 rounds so far. Jack Thorne is second, ahead of Andy Knowles, who's there in third.
Jack, congratulations. A very, very comfortable lead in that final there.
Yeah, it was, final was right. Led it from the start, got a good start. Kept my head down and just pushed.
Was that the key to it? Because it can't be easy beating somebody like Phil Chicken.
No, I had in my head if I can get a comfortable lead, take the joker, come back out in the lead and keep going like that's the plan, and it worked.
So what does that do in terms of your points then so far?
Well, because I couldn't go to Holland, it cost me quite a lot of points. So if I can keep pushing and keep chasing Phil, I should be able to catch him by the end of the season.
So we head to the Supernational Final, and we've had some very, very close competition in Supernationals over the course of this weekend. But we'll see exactly who is going to walk away from Knockhill with the spoils. Stuart Emery has done it in the previous 2 rounds at Lyden and at Valkenswaard. He starts on pole position for this one as well, and we ride on board as the lights go out in the final. A great start from Alan Tapscott at the wheel of his Vauxhall Corsa, and now Stuart Emery drawing himself alongside Gary Dixon's Vauxhall Astra. So as they head in towards Duffer's Dip, it's a Vauxhall that leads, it's a Peugeot that's there in second place, and the Vauxhall of Gary Dixon is there in third place, with Malcolm Boyd's Toyota MR2 was in fourth. He runs wide heading round through Leslie's, drops from fourth down to 5th position, and might even drop down to 6th place here as onto the loose they go. And well, at this stage the Peugeot of Stuart Emery is the meat in the Vauxhall sandwich. A Corsa ahead of Alan Tapscott, Vauxhall Astra behind in the hands of Gary Dixon, as we see a replay of the start from the perspective of Stephen Ratu. Charging their way up towards Duffer's Dip, you can see a little bit of contact almost made there, but everybody's safely through the first couple of corners, and then, yeah, Stephen Ratu gets into the back of Vincent Bristow's BMW, which drops him down towards the tail end of the field. So as the race continues, Alan Tapscott has dived early on for the Joker lap, as has number 11 Guy Corner and Vincent Bristow. Guy Corner remarkably impressive this weekend. He's progressively got quicker and quicker as the weekend has gone on. He'd wish that he could stay for an extra day here at Knockhill, I'm sure, because a third day of competition would see him right at the very sharp end, as he has got to grips with the circuit superbly well. Stuart Emery it is that now leads as a result of Alan Tapscott having taken the Joker lap. Gary Dixon is there in second position at the wheel of the Astra. Into third place is Malcolm Boyd, and Alan Tapscott having taken that Joker lap now. The red and white Corsa with the green stripes down into 4th position. So Stuart Emery still continuing round. Won the heat at Lydden Hill, won the heat and the final at Valkenswaard in Holland as well. So maximum points in the championship coming into this weekend. Alan Tapscott has now gained a position. He's up ahead of Guy Corner, so they've had a shuffle in the order. As Stuart Emery turns his way again onto the loose at Leslie's, right at the bottom of Duffer's Dip. Still being hounded by Gary Dixon, and then the fight for third. Here comes Alan Tapscott, and is that further problems for the courser? It is. What a shame for Alan Tapscott. His car has gone so very, very well. We didn't see him out at Valkenswaard, but it is not going to be a happy finish either here at Knockhill for him. Guy Corner inherits the place. Vincent Bristow therefore will move up into fourth position at this stage, but the lead pair are pressing on, and Stuart Emery has taken the Joker lap this time through, as has Gary Dixon in second place. Where are they going to come out relative to the rest of them? It does look as though they have done enough. Stuart Emery charges his way up towards the Stuart Straight. So it looks as though the top four are reasonably settled here as we ride on board with Stuart Emery. And you can see the difficulty of the visibility that the drivers have. The mud that has been splattered upon our onboard camera. Stuart Emery turns his way in towards the left-hander, then starts to flick right. He has built enough of a margin over the opening couple of laps so as not to worry about Gary Dixon, who's there in second place behind. Gary Dixon equally has a buffer between himself and Guy Corner, and they're about to come up and lap the hugely unfortunate Michael Boak. Michael Boak was right up there in the championship reckoning coming into this weekend, but it has not been a good weekend for Michael Boak. It's been a very good weekend, however, for Stuart Emery, who comes through again and claims another win with three cars tied to each other for second, third and fourth place in this final. As we ride on board once more the MGZR of Stephen Ratu, he heads up towards the checkered flag to bring the curtain down on his weekend here at Knockhill. The win goes the way of Stuart Emery. In second position was Gary Dixon. Third place was Guy Corner. Vincent Bristow, Malcolm Boyd and Stephen Ratu complete the rest of the runners and the top six. So again, for Stuart Emery, it's another win in the final. That keeps him on 66 points, maximum points at this stage in the championship. Gary Dixon moves up into second place and Vincent Bristow is now third.
Stuart, 3 wins out of 3. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, very, very good going. Yeah, it was a traumatic day in a number of ways. We had lots of problems again, which seems to be the theme for us this year. Every round we've had a lot of problems, but it's come together in the final each time. So, yeah, I don't know what to say really. Many thanks to Andy and Mike, my team, for keep putting the car back together for me, because without them, there's absolutely no way that we'd be getting the results we're getting. So, yeah, fantastic thank you to them.
Well, the track kind of takes no prisoners, does it, this one? I mean, you were bouncing around all over the place in certain sections of the track.
Yeah, the track on the loose section at the back there, I think there's been so much rain over the last few days that it's become very, very soft, and it does dig out with the cars. So, yeah, as you say, it was bouncing around all over the place. It was a bit of a war of attrition for the whole day. So I'm glad we've got through it, got to the final, made it count.
So on to the final for Retro Rallycross. We've had 3 different winners in the 3 heats, but unfortunately 2 of those winners haven't been able to make the final. James Harrold at the wheel of the Volkswagen Beetle, and also Lance Foster at the wheel of the Mini. Their cars are not on the grid, and therefore it is going to be Ray Morgan that will be the man to beat here at the wheel of the Ford Escort. Dave Black at the wheel of his Vauxhall Astra has slithered his way through into second position, and it looks as though the Mini of Ian Biaggi is there in third place, with the Volkswagen Polo, that car there, in the hands of Paul Smith, concluding the 4 runners that we've got in the final. As we heard from Stuart Emery, it really is a circuit that really does mean that the cars have to be at their very, very best. And even if you do spend a lot of time preparing your car, which all of the drivers do, Knockhill is one of those circuits that punishes the cars. And as a result of that, just 4 cars in this final. Ray Morgan continuing to lead the race. The BDA engined Escort accelerates its way out of the tri-oval loop onto the Stuart Straight. Of course, the Retro Rallycross cars do not do the Joker lap. It's also not a championship as well. It's just a series of races. no championship points up for grabs in Retro Rallycross, as onto the brakes in towards Leslie's goes our race leader, with still Dave Black keeping him very honest indeed. There's the Mini of Ian Biaggi, sporting its new livery for this weekend, the checkered roof and the blue and yellow stripe down the side. And falling a little further back also is Paul Smith at the wheel of the Volkswagen, as Ray Morgan makes a mistake there coming through and onto the tarmac element of the circuit. We've also got Dave Black starting to come under pressure now. His Vauxhall Astra Mark II is coming under ever increasing amounts of pressure from the Mini Clubman in the hands of Ian Biaggi. Ian Biaggi has caught. Can he get past, however, as they head up the Stewart Straight, climb to the very top of the circuit, and then start to descend again downhill up towards the braking area for Set Corner, and then plunge their way down into Duffers Dip. Downhill onto the brakes, through the right-hander, onto the loose again. Ray Morgan at the wheel of the Escort still leading, the Vauxhall second, the Mini there in third position. And, well, I suspect Dave Black is going to have his hands reasonably full for the remainder of the race here, because Ian Biaggi is not giving up his pursuit of the car ahead. We are on our last lap, however. I said Ray Morgan would be the man to beat, and it is certainly looking as though he is destined for a victory here in the Retro Rallycross Final. Out of the final corner, up towards the checkered flag, Ray Morgan comes home and claims a win in the final of Retro Rallycross. And just look how close it is for second and third position, but it will go the way of the Astra of Dave Black. Ray Morgan claims a win in the final ahead of Dave Black's Vauxhall Astra, Ian Biaggi's Mini and Paul Smith's Volkswagen Polo to complete the top four.
Ray, congratulations, a win there at the end, but with a good lead as well.
Yeah, I had it my own way really in the end. All the good guys had dropped out. The guy in the Beetle, really impressed with him. He went really well. It's only the second time he's driven it, I think, and I couldn't keep up with him. But of course he had a water pump go, so he couldn't carry on. Lance in the Mini, who always gives me trouble, he had a gearbox go. It failed going over the bumps apparently, so I had it on my own way in the end, even though I muffed up the start. And still managed to win.
So on to the final for the supercars, and Ollie O'Donovan will sit the Ford Focus there on pole position, and we'll hope that he can cement what has been a great return to the MSA British Rallycross Championship.
Getting out.
The middle of the front row of the grid is that car, the Mitsubishi of Steve Hill. The outside of the front row of the grid will be Julian Godfrey, who will be hoping for better fortunes. He had a win in one of the heats, but he was fourth in another, fifth in another. He would love a win in the final. The lights go out. It's a good start by Ollie O'Donovan. We can ride on board with him and also look at how hard he's working, but it looks as though Steve Hill might just have his nose ahead here. They turn it towards Duffers Dip, and the Mitsubishi of Steve Hill has taken the lead in the final for the supercars. Ollie O'Donovan's there in second place, Julian Godfrey in third, and that man there, the red Focus of Steve Harris, completes the top four. Again, frustratingly, Simon Horton's weekend at the wheel of the Subaru Impreza means he's not able to take to the final for the supercars, but we've got four very quick cars driven by four very rapid drivers. We ride on board again with Ollie O'Donovan, who this time takes the Joker lap. To the brakes, in towards the hairpin goes the Irishman as Steve Hill presses on. We've also got the red Focus of Steve Harris, so both of the Ford Focus cars have taken the Joker lap this time through, which means that Steve Hill's Mitsubishi is out front. The white and blue Ford Fiesta of that man there, Julian Godfrey, in second place. You can see just how close the front two are as they work their way out of Leslie's, then start to sweep left on the loose section of this fabulous Knockhill Rallycross circuit. As Stuart Emery said, the rain we've had over the course of the last few days really hasn't helped, but the circuit staff doing a superb job to prepare the surface. And this time it's Julian Godfrey that heads for the Joker lap, so Julian Godfrey down towards the hairpin at Taylor's. We ride on board looking backwards with Steve Hill as Godfrey works his way up the straight through the temporary chicane. Where is he going to come out relative to Ollie O'Donovan. He's going to come out absolutely side by side. Ollie O'Donovan just with his nose ahead, however, as they head onto the Stewart Straight. So Julian Godfrey has hung on to second position. He has taken the Joker lap. Ollie O'Donovan is down there in third place, out front of course and leading, but still as yet to take that extra loop down towards the hairpin at Taylor's is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 in the hands of the 7 times National Rally Champion Steve Hill. Ollie O'Donovan down into third place. He won't be happy with that. He's working as hard as he can to try and close up onto the tail end of Julian Godfrey, but the back end of the Focus bouncing around will have cost him a little bit more time. And as they head round through the tri-oval loop, they are now starting their last lap of the race, with that man Steve Hill still leading, still as yet to take the Joker lap. Right on board, you see just how hard he tries and just how much of a workout the drivers get behind the wheel. Julian Godfrey looking a little more secure now in second place. Ollie O'Donovan there in third place. So the catalyst to the winner of this race is all about how quick Steve Hill has driven. He's got to take the Joker lap this time through, and how quickly Julian Godfrey has been able to catch up. Steve Hill up towards the hairpin. We ride on board. Out of Taylor's hairpin, accelerates his way up the start-finish straight. This is the battle for the lead of the race. There goes Julian Godfrey. He is already through and ahead of Steve Hill as they head towards the checkered flag in the Super Final, or in the final for the British Rallycross Championship for the supercars. It is a win for Julian Godfrey. He will be delighted with that. Might not have had things the way he wanted in the heats, but come the final, it's all gone right for the reigning champion. Julian Godfrey claims the win. Steve Hill with a great result in second place, and Ollie O'Donovan's there in third, ahead of Steve Harris, who completes the top 4. In terms of the championship, Julian Godfrey leads Knockhill, still leading the championship on 65 points. Steve Harris is now in second on 45, and Steve Hill completes the top 3 on 30.
Julian, congratulations. A great final race for the supercars there.
Yeah, no, it was an enjoyable race. It was a very tough race. Steve and Ollie were going very quickly, so I started off third on the first lap and took the Joker on the first lap and made a bit of time up and got past Ollie. Eddie took it on the second lap, and then I had 2 laps to go, clear laps to try and catch up Steve, and ended up in front of Steve. So no, very enjoyable.
You looked really quick in that final.
Yeah, no, I was very happy with it. The car was working really well. Got a puncher on the last lap, but didn't slow it down too much.
Well, Knockhill certainly didn't disappoint for thrills and spills, and after 3 rounds we have some drivers really setting the benchmark, with Julian Godfrey, Stuart Emery, Mark Scott and Craig Lomax all picking up trophies once again here. Can anybody else catch them? We'll find out in round 4 when we go to Pembrey in Wales. We'll see you there.